Hey, happy Monday. Welcome to the greatest night of our lives. What's going to happen over the next couple hours? Why not we make that, right? We're here.
It's great.
Let's make it great. Dave McCann, Blaine Fowler, we're the Wise Guys. Welcome to the biggest BYU sports live stream show in the world, presented by Brady Plus and distributed by the Deseret News. Been waiting all week to get everyone back together, and it's so great to have you. The new podcast will be out tomorrow, wherever you get your podcasts.
Yeah, and what a week. There's so much to talk about.
Yeah.
It's nothing but positive stuff right now to talk about on a Monday night. And you got to love that. Lots of folks in the chat already. Michael Zimmerman is always here. Chris Stoddard here from Seattle. Mark Actual around. I mean, it's great. We're great. We're glad to have you all. And let us know where you're coming from. We got Ridgecrest, California, and we got Harriman already in the house. Colony, Texas, with Matt C.
The Colony.
Yeah, the Colony.
Is that like the Ohio State University?
Same thing, by the way. So we're grateful to have you in here. Make sure you subscribe to our free email to keep you updated. It's at ysguys.com. You can also watch all of our past content there. I was doing the game, I was on the sideline, and somebody came up to me and said, "Hey, I heard about this podcast thing, but I want to know where I can go to the old stuff." And I go to the website, wiseguys.com. And I said, and I showed her, and I was like, and scroll down here, and you can get all of the interviews over the last 3 years. And she said, "Oh, awesome." She typed it in right there and said, "Great, now I know where it is. I'm going to save it as a favorite." So make sure you go there and hit the free subscribe button on your YouTube channel as well while you're at it. So if you're joining us on YouTube tonight, subscribe to that. All of those things help us keep this thing rolling. You're what we're here for. You're why we're here, and you're what keeps us going. So keep it going.
There's the Mackeys from Montana. Let's see, Ben from Cary, Idaho. I said Dallas there. Hey Dallas, Idaho Falls, Forney, Texas. Let's bring it on. Let's scan the globe here tonight on our show. I think people are excited about our guest, as they should be, because it's a big time of year, and we have a big guest coming on. He's like 6'10". That's pretty big.
Is he 6'10" or 6'11"?
Well, I don't know.
On our show the other night, Did
he say 6'11"?
No, Jonathan Tabernari asked if I could guard him. So we can talk about that. Basically, my answer was, if he's going to make 17-foot jump shots, he's going to be fine, but he's not going to step foot in the paint. If I'm guarding him, I'll beat the heck out of him.
That's right.
So.
You got 5 fouls.
Yeah.
You can't take any
5 fouls to give, and that's exactly what's going to happen.
Wise Guys is proud to have Brady Plus as our title sponsor. Brady Plus provides cleaning, food service, and packaging equipment, dispensers, and service and repairs with over 150 distribution facilities across the country, over 6,000 employees. The president is a BYU grad and a longtime friend of ours. We love Brady Plus.
And the Deseret News is now our distribution partner. Deseret.com, Utah's newspaper since 1850. Watch for our content on all of their social media outlets and sites. They serve Cougar Nation all over the world, and we're grateful to have the Deseret News as our distribution partner.
John, we'll get to your question about Delaney Gibb and the women's basketball team as part of what we got going on. March is here. So
are you talking about the Big 12 Freshman of the Year?
It should be. Freshman of the Year. And could she break into
the first team all Big 12? I don't see any reason why not.
We might find out tomorrow.
Like we talk about locks and on the bubble. Is she just not a lock for the Freshman of the Year?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Newcomer of the Year?
For sure.
10 weekly wins, right?
Yeah. The 10th this week.
Yeah.
If she can get, it wouldn't shock me if she was a first teamer.
Yeah,
which would be awesome.
It's been crazy.
There's some really good players in the league. San Diego's in the house. There's Spring Branch, Texas, Vernal, Utah, and St. George. Good to have you folks on the stream. So it's the month of March Madness. We're going to hear from head coach Kevin Young in just a minute. Also, Cougar Eric Mika.
Yeah.
Been on our BYU TV broadcast and also a former stud on the basketball team. He's going to preview tomorrow night's mega matchup with Iowa State, and we'll let you ask some questions as well. We got a lot for him ourselves. This is the basketball time of year.
Yeah, Eric's fun to have, and Eric's got some great experience because he had some NBA experience. He's played overseas. He was part of one of the really, really good teams that ever play here at BYU. So he's got a lot of background, and he'll help us break down this team and what he thinks their chances are in the NCAA tournament. That's going to be really fun. Tournament times here. for women's hoops, right? Big 12 championships started this week. People forget that the women's championships are the week before the men's championships. They're ready to go. We'll look at the Cougars' first round matchup and talk about Delaney Gibb a little bit more. We just mentioned her, but we're going to talk a little bit more.
How about Norman from Hicksville, east of Houston? Why not think Celestial? That's his question.
Very good.
Why not, Norman? I think we should all
agree with you.
Think Celestial. Spring practice continues with BYU football. We'll get the latest on that. They had another workout today.
Yeah, I had a really nice visit the other night with Jake Retzlaff, so I can fill people in on what Jake had to say about how things are going. He had some interesting comments about player run practices leading up to spring, so remind me about that.
Okay.
And then also Parker Kingston was with Jake, so Parker and Jake had a nice visit. So we talked to him for like 30 minutes the other night.
And Jordan Sitterud, a BYU grad who started Big Shot Merch, he's going to be here later in the show and show us his stuff that he's come up with, official merchandise of BYU athletics. Yeah. And so he's a BYU guy and he's come up with some good ideas. So, hey, this is the perfect place. Wise guys.
I like that he calls it Big Shot Merch. Whenever we go on vacation, we take the whole family, all of my kids go, Dad, before we leave, aren't you going to buy us some merch? So wherever we are, they got to have some merch.
That's the slang now?
Yeah. Dad, it's time to get some merch. So that means we buy some stuff that's representative of where we're traveling.
I'm going to ask Diana, say, can you bring me some merch home from the cookie aisle? Would she know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, she'll know. Because Diane's on top of it. She knows.
Yeah, some diet Oreos. Some Oreos. Should buy some Oreos that don't have the cream in the middle.
Is there such a thing as diet Oreos?
I don't know. It seems like they would come up with that. You know, because you can just get the double stuff and whatever. A diet Oreo would probably just be the 2 cookies with nothing in the middle.
So here's what you do. You just offset it with something good. So if you're going to eat 2 Oreos, you have to eat 2 Snap Peas.
Yeah, okay.
That's all you got to do.
Snap Peas. Here are the headlines tonight. Basketball is 21-8. They're 12-6. 11-3 since January 13th. Only Houston in the Big 12 has a better record since then, and they are 13-1. And how about Richie Saunders?
Yeah, Big 12 Player of the Week, 2nd consecutive week. He's playing phenomenal basketball. Best kept secret in the country, maybe. But the word's getting out.
The word is getting out. He's playing like Danny Ainge. He's playing like Jimmer. He's playing like Lee Cummard. He's playing like Noah Hartsock when no one could stop Noah. Yeah. He's just evolved into the man on the team.
So fun to watch the evolution and how he's playing so confidently and how this team just is fueled by his energy and the way he plays. It's contagious. And everybody plays the way Richie plays because he sets the tone, which is great. Hey, by the way, we're talking about only Houston is better, 13-1. Do you know, I was looking at this today. Somebody asked me, can BYU beat Houston in the Big 12? Can BYU win the Big 12 championship? I said, I don't know. Houston's pretty good. And then I looked. They've won 21 of their last 22.
Yeah, they're good. They can win the whole thing.
They might win the national championship. Yeah. They're good enough.
I thought they were going to win last year, and then they stumbled along the way. What's weird is everyone can lose. You know? You get in the big dance, and that's what makes it magical.
Let me tell you. Can BYU beat? Let's say BYU and Houston end up in the championship game, which would be phenomenal, right? Could BYU beat Houston? If they shoot it the way they shot against Kansas, they can beat anybody in the country.
Right. Just ask Bill Self.
Any given night. Is BYU better than Houston right now? Wow. No, they're not.
No.
Like Houston's ridiculous on defense, and for once they have guys that can actually score.
But BYU's better than a whole lot of teams in the country.
Yeah, they are.
I don't know if they're better than Texas Tech. They went head-to-head in Provo, and Texas Tech beat them.
Yeah.
But
Texas Tech's top 10 team.
Yeah. But Houston, Iowa State, well, they're going to get a chance.
We're going to see tomorrow night.
That's going to be interesting. So here's the NCAA tournament situation as we sit today. The AP Top 25, the new poll's out, number 23. So they moved up 2 spots after last week. Feels about right. 23 feels about right.
My thing was, at least if you have a half a brain, AP voters, they should be in front of Arizona. And they were.
Yeah.
Arizona's at 22. They moved them back behind BYU. And so, yes, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with 23 and Arizona 1 spot behind them.
The net has them at 26. That's a solid spot.
That's one of the primary sorting tools for NCAA tournament seedings.
Yeah, so. Ken Palm has them 25.
Yeah, Joe Lunardi's bracketology is an 8 seed. His projections will come out again tomorrow.
Yeah.
Maybe they move up to a 7. Here's the interesting thing. Weren't we just talking about 3 weeks ago they were a bubble team?
Yeah.
Now, every single bracket, they're a lock for the tournament. And now it's like, what's their seed going to be? How things have changed. How 6 in a row changes things, doesn't it?
Especially who you're beating.
Yeah, in the Big 12.
And if you beat Iowa State, we'll talk about that in a second. You beat them, now you're talking maybe a 6 seed.
You beat Iowa State and you beat Utah, and then you win a game in the Big 12. You get to the quarters in the Big 12. Then you can lose. you might be a 5 seed.
Well, think about it. If you beat Iowa State and Utah, you're in the quarters. You get a double bye.
That's right. So go in. You get to the semis. You can lose in the semis of the Big 12 tournament.
That's not
and
gonna
have
hurt you.
zero impact on your seeding, right? And so, yeah, why not? Why not go win 2 more and then get a bye to the quarters and win a game? You finish with 3 in a row, even if you lose. So you've now won 9 games in a row in this conference, and then you lose in the semis? That's a 5 seed or better.
Plus, no one expects you to win tomorrow night.
Right.
They're an underdog at Iowa State.
Here's the thing.
Iowa State's 10th in the country.
If they play well and lose in a close game, doesn't hurt them at all.
No, they'll move up.
It doesn't
They'll
hurt
move
them
up
at
in the
all.
net.
So
Jerry Palm for CBS has him as an 8 seed. That's right where Lenardi has him. Andy Katz ranks him now number 12 in his power rankings.
yeah, that's a big one.
That's been pretty good.
Yeah, John Rothstein has BYU as number 26 in his top 45.
Okay.
So, yeah, Fox College Hoops has them at number 23. So, yeah, they're solidly respected at this point, which they weren't 3 weeks ago.
Selection Sunday is March 16th, 4 o'clock Mountain Time on CBS. And that will be, it's fun to see that show when you know you're in the show.
Right.
And I remember covering UNLV all those years down in Vegas when they were bubble teams. And that's not a fun show when you're on the bubble and you're left on the bubble.
You're just waiting.
And then the hour ends and you're going to the NIT. This is fun. This is going to be awesome. I've got a new article in the Deseret News today in the wake of last night's Academy Awards, how BYU's creating some Hollywood magic of their own. You can read it at Deseret.com. And these last couple of games have been pretty magical. Saturday, I was on the road with baseball coming home and had the game on and the post-game show that you were on. And when we landed, it was like 10-8 with 14 minutes gone in the first half. Yeah. And we're just like, what the heck's just happened here? It's like 2 touchdowns and it's like playing football.
You start doing the math. Like I'm counting on my fingers. I'm going, man, at this pace, this game's going to be like 43-41.
Yeah. And then I thought, well, that's how you beat BYU. This is working out for West Virginia.
Yeah. And in the pregame, I visited with Chris Burgess and asked him for the scouting report. And he kind of gave a scouting report. And I said, what is the overriding key for this game? What do you have to do to win this game? He goes, I think the most important thing is pace. We've got to play with pace. Tempo, tempo, tempo. We need to get up and down the floor. You get in the half court, they're really, really good defending in the half court. So we want to get out and run, not let them set their defense, knock down threes. That's the plan. Now, the point that you're talking about with 6 minutes and 36 to play in the first half and it's 13-8, I'm going, whoa. Mm-hmm. Priority number 1 is not being accomplished. Is BYU in trouble? Although it never felt like they weren't in control.
No.
Even though it was like nobody was scoring.
Because they weren't scoring either, right?
Right.
They're just throwing one brick up after the other.
Right. And BYU's playing good D. And let's give them credit. They were playing great D, and they were controlling the pace, which is what BYU didn't want to happen. But then BYU had that little mini run in the last, where they got a little separation right before half. When I talked to Kevin Young, he said, yeah, that was good. And it just took us a little while to go, okay, if this is how they're going to guard us, what's going to be the plan? And then they decided, and very calmly at halftime, Kevin went in and said, listen, guys, first off, I need a little more energy out of everybody. Like we're a little bit flat because of this pace. And we're fine at playing at this pace, but if they're going to spread 4 guys out on the perimeter and not leave our 3-point shooters, we are going to attack the paint. The guards are going to attack one-on-one. You're going to get by these guys, you're going to get in the paint. And if they don't help, you're going to finish at the rim. If they do help, you're going to feed Foose, and he's going to have a crazy night tonight.
Foose had 20 points, 10 rebounds. BYU scored 50 in the second half. Yegor Demon, 15 points, 6 boards. They go to their 6th victory. They blow them out. I was texting back and forth with our friend Doug Paisley, who's Brad Paisley's dad, who
Big West
we got
Virginia
to know.
fan, yeah.
Yeah, and I won a chocolate shake on the whole thing. Midway through the second half, he said, I'm going to bed. And that was it. He knew it was over as BYU. I think it went through a stretch at 5 straight threes.
Yeah.
And then it was good night.
In post-game, when I asked Kevin what he was proud of, he said that we didn't lose our confidence, this confident group, and that we were able to make a change in what we were doing. And it's fundamentally a different attack, and they were able to make the switch on the fly, make the permanent switch at halftime, and come out and blow this team out with a completely different style. And I think he loves the fact that now on film, teams are going, oh, okay, well, if you take away the 3,
they can adjust.
They can kill you. Yeah. So they're not a one-trick pony. They can score inside if you decide to defend outside. And remember, they were 0 for 4 from 3 in the first half. They go 5 of 7 in the second half. Those 5 kind of came down the stretch because finally West Virginia started to go, I guess we better help on Foose.
Yeah.
I guess we better rotate. As soon as they rotated, what does Foose do? Kicks it out to 3-point shooters and they knock down shots.
It was fun.
They're scary offensively, and now that they've learned they can play that way, what are you going to do? I'm really interested to see what Iowa State does to defend them tomorrow night.
Folks on the stream, let us know what you think of this basketball team, how excited you are for the next couple of weeks, and we'll share as many as we can as we say hello from Palm Springs, Payson, Utah, Highland, Utah, and many others. So keep them coming, and we'll try to share those with everybody. Cannon Catchings injured his left knee after a dunk. Kevin Young today said he's day-to-day. It's not as bad as it originally appeared to be. Don't know if he'll play tomorrow. Probably not.
Yeah, if you look at it, and I watched it on the film a little bit, and I actually talked to the orthopedic surgeons there at the game, but what you worry about is when somebody comes down awkward on that leg, do they twist it as well, or does it fold inside or outside? If you watch the film, his knee went straight back, like he just hyperextended it. And that's going to cause some swelling, and it's going to hurt. But that's something you come back way faster from than a rotational injury where you tear an ACL or an MCL. And so, yeah, things are not looking as bad as they did when out on the floor when it looked like, whoa, his knee went a weird direction, right? The good news is it went straight back. And so I think Cannon will be back sooner than maybe we all thought after we watched what happened. And
that's good.
He was going up trying to pull a Keba and block that dude from dunking the ball.
Was he blocking a shot?
He went up and tried to swipe the guy's dunk. And then came down awkwardly after that. Okay. And he was trying to pull a Keba. Keba did that again last night, by the way, or Saturday night. The guy was on a fast break, and he just said, no.
Yeah.
If I'm the trailer, you better pass it back because this thing's getting erased.
Hey, Perry says, sitting with my mom, who was a BYU cheerleader in 1951. She's 92.
Oh, wow.
Good to have the Bradys with us tonight. Perry, thanks for being on the stream. How about A.J. Devonta up there with the Rock, having the time of his life? I think he can't wait to put on that BYU jersey and run out and be a participant instead of a person in the Rock. But it sure is fun to see him with a big smile on his face.
He went to both sides. He goes over there to both sides of the Rock. He goes over to the right side, and he has them cheer. Then he comes back to the left side. He has them cheer. Then he goes back to the right and has them cheer. And he goes like, no, I'm sitting over here on the right side. So he had him cheer to see who was the loudest, to see which section he was going to sit in with the fans. He is absolutely loving it. So
that's great to see.
How about Lehigh Sena dos Santos is coming in from Brazil?
Fantastic.
Have we had Brazil in the house before?
If we have, we're thrilled to have him back.
We got Tanner Marriott in from Palm Springs. We've had Palm Springs before, but we always love Palm Springs in the house. But I'm not sure we've had Brazil in the house before.
That's awesome. David, just down the road in Provo, checking in on the show. Good to have you with us. And then here's Paul saying, I tore my ACL with a straight back hyperextension. So that itself doesn't rule out a tear, but it does typically minimize meniscus tears. And again, one thing that BYU's come and said today is it's not as bad as they thought.
Not as bad as because they did an MRI and said, okay, not as bad a news as it could have been. So earlier, what feels like forever ago, back on Wednesday, or when was it? Beat Arizona State 91-81 Wednesday night
in Tempe. Saunders 26 points. Demon had 10 assists. BYU made 17 3-pointers. And I think more BYU fans were in the house, which was cool. Two
big games, back to back, and two completely different formulas for a win, and two blowouts. Really, I mean, a 10-point, maybe not a blowout, but 10 points on the road is a pretty substantial win at Arizona State, who's really athletic, and BYU was just shooting lights out. Arizona State was packing the paint, and BYU shot threes. Then they come. On Saturday, West Virginia says, no, we're going to spread out. We're defending the three. You're not going to get a good look out here. And they took it into the paint and dominated in the paint. I love that they can do both things. That was fun.
Winning on the road. They've been able to, they swept the Arizona road trip.
Wow.
And if you can win in Tucson, you can win in Ames. Right. Although Arizona went to Ames and got blown out Saturday.
Yeah, Iowa State is when they're all healthy, there's just such a balanced team with so many good players.
Great coach.
Yeah, they really are. And Josh Jefferson he's a beast. So this is a big guy, 6'9". He's 240 pounds. He's the kind of guy where BYU's had a little bit of struggle. he's a really athletic 240-pound dude. So he's not just long, he's really athletic, and he's averaging 12.5 points and 7.5 rebounds, but 50% from the field. He can actually step out and knock down a three if you leave him open. He can defend. I mean, he's a good player. But they have 5 guys that average double figures.
They're good. They're top 10 all year.
They're really good defensively. Here's the difference between them and West Virginia. They're also very efficient offensively. They're very good defensively like West Virginia, but they're deeper, and they're also good offensively and efficient offensively. So, yeah, it's a big challenge. But BYU is
playing good.
They're playing well, and they're confident.
Alan, hello from Apple Valley, California. Mike in Huntsville, Alabama. So one side of America to the other, brought together on the Wise Guys. So here it is. Tomorrow night, number 23 BYU. They're 12-6 in the league. At number 10 Iowa State. They're 12-6 in the league. 7 o'clock Mountain on ESPN2 and BYU Radio. First meeting this season. Cyclones lead this series 7-1. Last year was interesting as BYU had their way here in Provo, and then they went back to Ames, and Ames, they were ready for revenge on, but they only won by 5.
Right.
I mean, we played pretty good back there.
Yeah. No, and we match up with them pretty good because we're long too. They're long and athletic, and they're one of these teams. They start 2 6'4" guards. So they're similar to us. And when I look at the numbers, I'm like, wow. Are we looking at a mirror? And they rely a little more on being really physical and playing downhill, and we rely a little more on the 3 as a general rule. Mm-hmm. But they average 80.2 points a game. We average 81 points a game. They shoot 47.8 from the field. We shoot 48.8 from the field. They shoot 35.4 from 3. We shoot 37.8 from 3. We're just a hair better than them offensively, and they're just a hair better than BYU defensively.
Yeah,
it's a classic matchup, and hey, BYU matches up with them pretty good. So this should be fun. If BYU comes and plays with energy and knocks down shots, they got a shot.
Andy Katz rates it the 7th biggest game of the week in all of college basketball. BYU and Iowa State tomorrow night on ESPN2. Earlier today, head coach Kevin Young addressed the media. Here's what he had to say about the big game tomorrow night.
I think we have to go in there with the mindset that no matter what they do, we're going to be under control offensively. And I told our guys this morning I have a lot of respect for West Virginia and their defense, and I told our guys, I think Tyson told me that was the most points that any Big 12 team scored on them in a regulation game. And so we just try to build on things that have worked. They're different. Their defense is different than West Virginia's. But at the same time, I think I'm big on proof of concepts. Like, we've proven that we can do that against good defensive teams. Particularly ones whose MO is to turn you over. So that was a weakness of ours early in the year. I think we're starting to use people's aggression against them. I think that's the ultimate key to the game. And then obviously they got some, unique players. Jefferson's unique, with his size and his ability to kind of do a lot of different things. And they got guards that just kind of keep coming at you. So, it's definitely not going to be a walk in the park in terms of our defense, but they get fueled by their offense by their defense. So we'll have to be pretty sound there.
So that's Kevin Young from earlier today. They've now flown to Ames. Mm-hmm. They'll get a workout in tonight, and then it's showtime tomorrow night. But it's been interesting to see him get comfortable. He's always been comfortable in his own skin, but now he seems to be comfortable in Big 12 skin.
Yeah, he told us at the beginning of the year, and you and I talked to him quite a bit. We did a bunch of games at the beginning of the year, and he's like, man, not only am I learning about who to put out on the floor and what to do, I'm learning about how to coach in college basketball. Like, even the timing's different, and timeouts are different, and he's figured out some combinations. The other night I asked him about whenever he puts Foose out there, he seems to put Dallin out there. And he says, I've learned that I try to put those two on the floor at the same time. They have tremendous chemistry, maybe better than any 2 guys on this team. So I'm very mindful if I have Foose in the game, I need to get Dallin in the game because they play off of one another, right? So he's figured all of these things out, and I feel like he really knows at this point, this is why they won 6 in a row, this is what we're really good at. These are our limitations. This is how I minimize our limitations, and this is how I maximize what we're good at. And he seems confident going into this game. And this team's a little different. I think they're a little more aggressive at pressuring the ball. West Virginia's like very good, but they're really sound. They just stay in front of you and they contest shots, right? Where this Iowa State team, they'll pressure you and try to make you turn the ball over. And BYU needs to do, like Kevin said, if they come out and they overplay you, you got to go back door. If they come out and they close too strong on you on an outside shot, you need to put the ball on the floor and you need to go attack inside and get to the rim or dish it off to Foose or to Kaba to throw the ball down. And I agree with Kevin. They've gotten better at handling pressure. Their turnover numbers during this win streak have been much, much better and much under control than when they were early in the year. So they can't go turn the thing over 17 times and win. 12 or less.
As I was watching him and listening to him, I started thinking, it was a year ago this March, he's coaching with the Suns and hasn't even thought about becoming BYU's head basketball coach. Not even on the radar.
Yeah.
And look where we are today.
Yeah.
And now they're cruising in, ranked in the top 25. No big game tomorrow night.
And he's got this good core of veterans that now have also understand how to play under his coaching, right? These guys have played a lot of games. You got a bunch of guys on the team that played in the NCAA tournament last year and that played in the Big 12 tournament. So, that's what Iowa State has. I was looking at, they play 8 guys, 7 are like in the regular rotation. So BYU's a little deeper, and hopefully that's to their advantage. But there's 7 guys, 4 seniors that play big roles, 2 juniors and 1 sophomore. And the sophomore is he's an international player. It's Momcilovic. That's their 6'8" forward that goes out and shoots threes. Yeah. So an international player like Demon, so he's beyond his years. But that's who plays. 4 seniors, 2 juniors, and a sophomore. It's a veteran team. And folks, this is a good basketball team BYU's playing against. Yeah. But BYU now is a good basketball team.
The national types are starting to say when they're rolling out Sweet 16 picks, they're like, keep your eye on BYU.
Yeah.
That's why I don't like the 8-9 seed, because the next game is against a 1.
Yeah.
But if they can get to a 7 or 6,
that's why this game is important.
Yeah, that's
tomorrow
a big
night,
one
right?
for tomorrow.
So,
hey, on Saturday night, it's Utah and BYU at the Marriott Center. Place will be sold out. 8:00 Mountain Time on ESPNU. We'll be on the pregame show for an hour at 7 on BYU TV and ESPN Plus. Also with the postgame show afterwards. It's the regular season home finale, so this is it. The next time you see BYU play at the Marriott Center, A.J. DeVance is coming out of the locker room.
That's crazy.
So that's how close it all is happening. And people forget the Utes beat BYU. They don't forget the Utes beat them. But it was 73-72 in Salt Lake on January 18th when BYU could not hit the side of a barn in the shooting.
And had untimely turnovers. Yeah. And like they did. Back then, they were not playing the way they were. And Utah, by the way, when you look at data, I'm not talking about, hey, this is my impression. The numbers bear this out. They're one of the biggest, how do I describe this? The biggest disparity to how they play at home and how they play on the road in the country.
It's crazy.
They're very good at home, and they're not good on the road. And so they're coming down to Provo. It's going to be rabid fans in that facility.
Oh, it's going to be awesome.
And I don't expect this to be a down-to-the-wire game. I mean, it's a rivalry game, but Utah hasn't shown to me that they can play on the road the way they play at home. They've been really good at home.
BYU shot 8 of 30 from 3, and they were 4 of 10 from the foul line in a 1-point loss.
Yeah, crazy.
And Ezra Azar scored 26, a career high. BYU couldn't stop him. They'll stop him this time. And they got a different coach. They got an interim guy. Craig Smith won't be here. He got fired last week, which is kind of strange. And they came out, and then they who'd they beat the other night? They beat Arizona State.
Yeah.
They'll probably beat West Virginia up there tomorrow night, just because it's in Salt Lake. But Craig Smith's out. We'll see which direction they go. AP Top 25 today, as Eric Mika is going to join us in just a couple of seconds. Houston's number 3, Texas Tech's 9, Iowa State's 10. So now you got 3 teams from the Big 12 in the top 10.
Right.
They were kind of out of it for a little while, but it's dust settling, and the Big 12 is once again flexing its muscle.
Right. And if you got Houston at number 3, a team that's won 21 or 22, I'm not sure they're not the best team. I mean, they're right there. They can compete with Auburn's great team, and then BYU at 23 and Arizona at 24. Like I said, I was fine as long as BYU moved up, and as long as they were at least one spot ahead of Arizona, I was fine with whatever came. So
in the Big 12, Houston's already locked the 1 seed for next week. Texas Tech and Arizona are tied at 13 and 5, and then in 4th, BYU and Iowa State are tied at 12 and 6. The top 4 finishers get the double bye in the conference tournament. The team that plays 5th is playing next Wednesday. The team that plays 4th is playing next Thursday.
That's why we talk about this game tomorrow night.
It's got a lot going on.
It's huge.
It's a big week in the Big 12.
Yeah, it is. It is. So notable games. Let's talk about it. Kansas at Houston tonight. That'll be an interesting one. Kansas kind of tailed off here.
Where they're falling apart.
Yeah, and then BYU's at Iowa State. We've already talked about that one a bunch. Iowa State's at Kansas State on Saturday. That's no easy place to go in and win.
Iowa State could lose, but if we beat them, if they beat us tomorrow, no matter what happens, they're going to have the tiebreak.
Right.
So BYU's got to beat them tomorrow.
Right. BYU could win tomorrow night and lose against Utah and have the tiebreak and still get the 4th seed. So Arizona's at Kansas. So that's not an easy place to go play. And we mentioned that Arizona, they've been interesting. They've been up and down. They've had some huge wins and some rough losses. And then Houston at Baylor on Saturday. That's a big one. Baylor's really good at home. I just think Houston's too much for anybody right now. And then Utah at BYU on Saturday, as we've mentioned.
Hey, one note on the Orlando tournament. Diamond Head Classic was called off for next November. AJ DeBonsa and the Cougars are going to join Georgetown, Miami, Dayton, in a 2-day tournament in Orlando during Thanksgiving week. So they're not going to Hawaii, but they're going to Orlando. And if they play Dayton and Miami, those are 2 really good non-conference games.
Yeah. And
I don't know about Georgetown.
When we asked him about him, he said, "Hey, Mom, going to Disney World."
Yeah, they're going to Disney World. Our first guest tonight is former Cougar Eric Mika, who 7 years ago last week led the Cougars into Spokane and knocked off number 1 and undefeated Gonzaga 79-71. They were 29-0. He led the Cougars with 29 points and 11 rebounds. I was in Spokane last week with a baseball team, and the Zags still remember the night Eric Mika came to town and ruined their whole season. They were trying to go wire to wire. It just didn't happen. So what a setting to bring Eric Mika back to the Wise Guys. Eric, was there any better feeling in all of your sports conquest than that night against Gonzaga in Spokane?
You texted me and told me to prepare for
that's coming up later. That's coming up later.
We got more later.
It's just out of the gate.
I'll say this. I think maybe there's one moment that was sweeter, but in my whole career, but I think nothing tops as far as my experiences at BYU. That game. I mean, it was pretty awesome.
Yeah, that was quite a night. It shocked the world, really. So, and I think they're still in a funk up there because BYU went and swept their baseball team this last weekend. Gonzaga, they can't deal with BYU now because of that.
They just can't get 8 years later, 7 years later, they can't get over it.
They cannot get over it.
What was it about that game? What was it about that game that helped you and the guys just pull it all together? I mean, you fell behind like 20-3, but that didn't stop you.
Yeah, I think it was just kind of this pressure being alleviated, whether it was pressure from the outside going into the season or pressure we had put on ourselves or whatever. There was this pressure and these expectations that we hadn't been living up to, that we had probably mostly set ourselves. And, that makes you play tight. And so I think between, kind of the season where it was at that point, it's like we had to go win the WCC tournament to go to the big dance, and Gonzaga's got all the pressure in the world. We have next to none. Plus, we're down, as you mentioned, 20-3. So, on top of the context of the game, also within the actual game, there was less pressure because we were already down. So we just played free, and I think that's what we were searching for that whole year, and it's hard to find. With young teams, it's hard to get guys to play that kind of, with that kind of free spirit and that much off of their shoulders from the jump. And the young teams that figure out how to do it find success. And, we finally did in that big game, which was a lot of fun.
That's an interesting concept. So, I'm thinking, we were just gritty. We had these tough guys. But you're saying, no, we played loose and we played better because we played loose because we didn't have any pressure on us. And that's a really interesting thought in that game. Let's compare this year's team with that team playing free. You guys were talent all over the floor on that team. This team's got a lot of talent. Mindset wise, this team's on a 6-game win streak, so they're in a little bit different situation, but they go into Iowa State tomorrow night, and Iowa State's a top 10 team. Nobody really expects them to win. Is the key for this thing? What is the key? Do they play free like you're talking about? Or what do they need to do to go have success against the team that everybody thinks is going to beat them?
Yeah, I think that's a big piece of it. To me, there is some pressure. You're going into a hostile environment. It's going to be a fun atmosphere. Iowa State is rolling. They're a good team. But yeah, if we're talking about pressure, Iowa State feels way more pressure. They're going, if we lose this, we lose the double bye. We lose the tiebreaker to BYU. Like I feel like they're at home. They've kind of had a lot more attention the whole year, and now it's culminating to this. Whereas BYU, I think, has just slowly trended upwards. So if we're going based off of pressure, I think Iowa State has more pressure. BYU, like you said, no one is really expecting them to win. I looked on ESPN; they didn't have a line yet, but they had a 75%. They fill up that little circle, 75% in Iowa State's favor. So that means the line is going to be pretty favorable for Iowa State as well. I think the guys should be, ecstatic about that. No one expects you to win. You're on a roll. You and only you know what you truly have. Like we're all bandwagon fans at the end of the day. We're jumping on because we're playing well and because we won 6 in a row. But these guys know even deeper than that how good they really are and how much they have to still tap into. So I think they're going to feel really, really good rolling into Ames, and that's the opposite end of the spectrum where there's this delicate balance between pressure and also momentum in college. Like I think truly more than half the battle when you're at that stage, that age, and this level of basketball, if you think you're the better team, then you are. Like I believe that a lot of the time in college, and so I feel like we have no pressure. Obviously this game means a lot, but we have less pressure than them, and we have a lot of momentum and self-belief. So I feel good. I feel like we have a chance to go do something.
Eric, which win was more impressive, beating Kansas by 34 or going on the road and upsetting Arizona by 1?
That's a tough one. Again, the context plays into it. Kansas being such a historic team, and so many Cougar fans having that one circled on their calendars as soon as we got into the Big 12. That's a big one. No one expected us to win by 30, even with their struggles. For me personally, I thought the Arizona one was huge because I went to that game when Arizona came to Provo, and I was blown away. I thought they looked really, really unbeatable that night. They had pro guards that were super quick that could knock down shots. Their rotation of bigs was really impressive. They had, the big muscle, but then they also had the skill and size to back him up. And so I left that Arizona game in Provo going, man, that's like for sure an Elite Eight team, maybe a Final Four run, just because they're built like a pro team. And I think Tommy Lloyd does a good job, and guys play hard for him. But yeah, to go then into their place after losing, make those adjustments, and then win on the road against a team that's also having a very good season that looked that good at your place, I thought was, for me, more impressive and meant more.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep, I agree with that one. Former BYU star, BYU TV basketball analyst Eric Mika, also our good friend.
Yeah,
and
that's
by the
three
way,
things. Right. That's 3 things you got going for you.
That's awesome. By the way, I love meeting. I don't know if I've ever met your dad before. I feel like I've met your mom, but the other night Eric brought his mom and dad to the studio, and I see where he gets all his size. By the way, because they are tall. They're tall people. But that was fun to meet your mom and dad. And I need to mention Wise Guys presented by Brady Plus and distributed by the Deseret News. But great player at BYU, great pro player, our buddy. And he's here with us tonight on Wise Guys. We're glad you're here. Hey,
Number one is that we're buddies.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Answer.
So, hey, at what point this season did you notice the Cougars kind of rounding or evolving into what they are right now? Because certainly at the beginning of the year, there was not an indication that they were going to be this good. 3 weeks ago, we were talking about them as a bubble team, and now they're a lock in the NCAA tournament. When did you go, you know what? These guys are going to be pretty good. This is an NCAA tournament team.
Yeah, I don't want to sound like some guy with the blue goggles, but I think I was freaking out a little bit less than most when we started off a little slow. What were we, 2-4 in conference?
Yeah.
Because I'm looking at our losses like, okay, you have Texas Tech, who's a good team, and then TCU and Utah came down to free throws and a couple plays here and there. Like, I felt like there was definitely a moment where things could have gone really sideways if the guys didn't come together and didn't believe what I saw, which was that we were a decent team that just wasn't finishing games. Like, because that happens all the time. I mean, good teams don't live up to expectations because it just never clicks. So there was a real chance there. I don't know what the point was that it flipped for me, but I felt like we were just trying to figure it out, and then I think a part of it was when Mag started. You and I have talked about that on pregame and postgame before, Blaine. But I was actually having a conversation with someone today, like, because I know KY has a data analytics guy on the staff. That's a big part of NBA basketball. It's starting to become a bigger part of college, and at some point after the season, I want to have a conversation with either KY or someone on staff about what pushed that switch. Was it had to be something in the analytics, right? Like they're tracking everything that you could ever imagine in practice and games, that for some reason they took a bet on this different lineup and they've been rolling with that one ever since. And I thought it just it changed things up in a good way, because one, Mag brings a lot of experience, and then more obviously, he's a great defender. He's kind of a dog that's willing to bark. Like he's barking at the crowd. He's getting into it with guys after the game. So I thought we needed that edge. I thought we needed a defender to give Richie a little bit of a blow on the defensive side. And I also just think he's someone who's like had to wait for his chance a little bit, even though he's a proven player. And so he came in with the right chip on his shoulder that was still a benefit for the team. It wasn't a chip on his shoulder like, oh, you guys are idiots, you should have been playing me. It was like, no, this is what I do, this is how I'm going to do it. And it set a different tone that I think defensively we picked up. I think guys sort of settled into their roles because they saw like, oh, we have a lot of capable and versatile and different players, so we can come at you in waves in different ways. And so, it's hard to really pinpoint it, but I love that move that we make. Yeah. And I'm super intrigued later on to figure out what pushed that.
Yeah. Was it the same time that all of a sudden Stewart started to play more as well? Did they just make a fundamental switch and go, hey, to win in this league, we got to be better defensively. Yeah. So let's put Mag in the starting lineup. And you know what? Let's get Trey Stewart some minutes as well, and let's see how that goes. Because I feel like that started about the same time. I'm with you, though. We'll have to pin him down and say, what changed that? Was it defensive philosophy? Was it Mag had just earned it? Was it what? I want to have that conversation with you.
Tell us the truth, KY.
Yeah, let's talk to him about it.
Eric, of these three people, who has surprised you the most? Kevin Young, Richie Saunders, or Yegor Demon?
Man, I'm gonna go with Richie. He surprised me, but also not, because I've known him for a while, and I know everything I know about him is that he's a hard worker. Mm-hmm. I think what's been so surprising and more cool than it is surprising is just how he's remained like a glue guy, in that he still doesn't have stuff run for him. He's not demanding the ball. He's not upset if he doesn't have the most points on the team. He's just doing what it takes to win. Mm-hmm. This year, it just happens to be, doing a little bit more offensively. But what surprised me was how simple kind of he's made the game. Like, and I talked to KY about it a couple weeks ago. Like, he's just figured out, like, one, I've got a great shot and I can rely on it. They did that awesome deep blue on him on Saturday. They showed it during the game, and it's like the guy has worked super, super hard for a long time, and that's paying off. His shot looks great. He's leading the league in that. But then he's just simplified. All right, if I don't have a shot, I have a rip one dribble either to the rim, or that floater has been automatic. I tweeted last week at some point, like, death, taxes, and Richie Saunders.
Yeah, I saw that.
Floater. Like, I tweeted. I know it was like the corniest tweet of all time, but I tweeted it because he made one. And I was like, I genuinely couldn't remember the last time he had missed one, or if he had it all on that baseline, right? So I've been surprised that he's still found a way to be, a leader offensively and just the absolute cornerstone to our team. But he's done it in a way that isn't demanding, right? Like, he's not getting tons called for him, and that means that other guys can play a big part and feel like they're a big part of a team, and that's a winning recipe.
Yeah, good answer.
Yeah. Hey, AJ DeBonsa was at the game the other night. We were all there, saw him there. What's it going to be like in the Marriott Center next year when he takes the floor in November?
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about that too, and I just think he's built for it. He went up in the stands. I just stopped watching the game for a while and just watched him kind of going up there and mixing in with the crowd, and they're very brand aware, which I think is awesome. Like, you couldn't think of a better pair between somebody who's that brand aware and BYU who's willing to just go crazy for someone, right? Like, we've had Jimmers and Taysom's and players of that level that people get behind and they love to cheer for. So when they're embraced like that, then they're even easier to cheer for. So I think it's going to be Zion-esque, right? Where there's so much hype and so much anticipation, even more than how much there is on average, which is a lot for kids nowadays with how present social media is. And just think of, like Zion's first dunk at Duke, like breakaway dunk or alley-oop or dunk on someone. Like, all his firsts were just, national news, played a trillion times on ESPN. And that's what we're going to have. We're going to play, BYU Hawaii. I know they don't exist, but we're going to play BYU Hawaii, in October, and he's going to get a through the legs dunk on a fast break. And like, people's brains are going to explode, and we're going to see it 1,000 times on ESPN. We're going to see Kevin Durant retweet it and repost it saying, "Way to go, little bro." Like, the PR for next year is going to be insane, and BYU is absolutely built for it. I think there's no one in the country that does a better job than our game day experience guys, than our social media guys, our athletic department, PR, all that has been prepping for something like this for a while. So it's going to be nuts.
Justin Young was with us a couple of weeks ago, the director of recruiting, and he said, keep your eye on the transfer portal when that opens, because there's guys who want to come play with AJ, and they probably have 3 or 4 roster spots to fill, and depends on who stays and who goes. But you get that kind of support in from the portal to support what you already have. This could be a whole different thing. The hype and all that stuff's going to be there, but the product on the floor might be something we haven't seen before.
Yeah, I what a different game than it used to be with the transfer portal. And another conversation I've had with people on the staff is they figured out the formula quickly, which is they need to get old, right? Like, that's what we are right now. That's what, look what Auburn did over the weekend, and their average age is like barely younger than the Oklahoma City Thunders, Oklahoma City Thunder. So it's we want to get old quick, and we want to pair AJ with guys like Richie, like Trevin, like Foose, like Dallin, who have been in big games, that know how to navigate this league. And so I'm super excited to see who we get in the portal, and who's willing to take a chance on BYU and all the things that come with it, but also, guys that are not afraid of the moment and the spotlight, right? Because playing with AJ, it's a double-edged sword. It's like, if you play really well, it's like the LeBron effect.
Yeah.
If you play really well, you're going to be in the NBA forever and you make a ton of money. If you don't, or if the optics are that you don't, then people are going to throw you under the bus. So who is good enough and who's also not afraid of that challenge, they're going to come here and have a special experience.
Yeah,
you just mentioned, Eric, you said, well, guys like Richie and Dallin and Trevin, and I'd add Foose to that. Other than Trevin, all those guys can be back next year and play with AJ. That's crazy, because KY has the ability to bring back a really veteran core to put around AJ. A couple of young guys that could be a team where we start to look at it and go, from a talent perspective, this team could be a Final Four team. Am I out of my mind thinking that?
Foose can come back. I didn't know. The other ones I knew.
Isn't Foose a
I
junior?
think Foose is a senior.
Maybe Foose is a senior. Caba's a junior. That's
you
right.
You never know with the NCAA. Almost everybody.
Yes.
Eric, you might be able to come back.
Eric.
I might be able to come back.
Did you play a junior college year? Because you can come back now.
Nobody skipped his last two, so he's got that.
Maybe I was thinking of Caba. Caba's back,
that'll
right?
That'll be interesting.
Caba's
I mean,
back.
Foose or not, the point is, I get what you're saying. Like, you can get a lot of these guys back, and that's going to be, probably the biggest thing circled on KY's agenda. But he did it last year, and the guys didn't even know him, and they didn't even know what he could do for them, their career. and I'm sure there's going to be even more NIL money, like for a number of reasons. So I just feel like that's going to be on the priority list. You do worry about it because you don't know each of these guys and their own journeys and what they want out of life, right? Like it's going to be different for all of them. But they're going to take a serious look at staying, and they'd be crazy not to, because they'll be Cougar legends,
Oh yeah, right. This is something we've never
And I did
seen.
check. Foose is a senior, but Caba is a junior. So Caba would be back with him.
Yeah.
Former Cougar Eric Mika is on the Wise Guys. We're live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and wiseguys.com all over the world tonight. Henry Marsh, the running legend, said he saw that Iowa State's an 8.5-point favorite. So that's the line or number that's out there. So what three things need to happen for BYU to win tomorrow night in Ames? What do you think?
Oof. Man, that's where you're going to get me. I'm not the analytical guy that can break down the piece.
Yeah, but you're a big man who's won big games.
Well, all right. Give the ball to Foose.
Foose has got to have. Does Foose need a double-double, or does Caba and Foose need to combine for something?
Yeah, no, I mean, they need to establish a presence like they have in all the games we win. I mean, I'm just trying to think, like, what we've been so good at recently. I don't know if I'll give you three. I'm just gonna think out loud. But one is the bench. If the bench can continue to do what they're doing, that's going to be huge. They've been outscoring people. They had another game on Saturday where they scored 43. So I think the bench is going to be huge. Another key will be, a point of emphasis in the post game on Saturday was our staff wasn't expecting the game plan that West Virginia threw at us in the first half. Now, obviously, we adjusted, and we did a good job defensively in the first half, right? So we still held that lead, but I think a key will be our creativity and our preparation going into this game. Like what kind of tricks and what kind of game plan, what kind of kinks that we can expect from Iowa State being thrown in there, and instead of having to adjust at halftime, are we even more prepared than we've been for any other game, right? And I think it was a good lesson learned to go and be kind of stumped in one half for once by West Virginia, who slows down the pace just like Iowa State. So I think the game plan is going to be a big piece. You could probably put that in the top three of every single game, but this one will be a little different after kind of a wild West Virginia first and second half.
Yeah.
And then this is a battle of style, right? They want to slow it down, we want to speed it up. So I don't know if it's a question of who wins the game, the pace game. Like, do we speed it up or do they slow it down? But I just think it always comes down to who makes the other one a little bit enough, more uncomfortable. Like, what are we doing? And this feeds right into the game plan. What are we doing to speed them up? Is it more than what they're doing to slow us down? And who gets the other to do more things that they're uncomfortable doing? And so, yeah, I guess that feeds into game plan. So a long-winded answer, but I'd say game plan and the bench.
So they got this big one around the road tomorrow night, and then they head back home, and they've got the Utes coming into Provo. There's a little bit of a score to settle on this one. It's like 73-72 up there in January. This should make for quite a home finale. Should be fun on Saturday night, right?
We sure love the theatrics, I guess, for senior night. We just get a super emotional game on the schedule there. But, yeah, we owe them one. I just feel like every rivalry game you kind of throw out the stats and the schedule and the record and all those things. It's just so much emotion. Even if you haven't grown up watching it, you just feel a different buzz with it. So I bet most Cougar fans care more about that game Saturday than they do tomorrow, especially considering what we've talked about, how good Iowa State is and having much pressure and being on the road, all those things. I know Cougar Nation wants that Saturday one back so we can finish on a high note and tweet for the however many next 8 months until we meet again. We got to have something backing up our tweets. So that'll be a big one. And I think we've got a shot to get them both.
Eric, make a couple more questions before he reveals his top 5 games in his career. That could be at Lone Peak. That could be at BYU. That could be all around the world.
Could have played in Serbia. I mean,
the NBA.
Jonathan
Could have been
Tavernari
anywhere.
keeps telling us there's nothing like playing in Serbia.
We are.
like playing in Serbia.
He tells us I got hit with a battery in the back of the head from a fan. So, you know.
I believe that. So that's coming up here in just a second. But it's tournament time. Big 12's next week and the big dance after that. Let's start with the Big 12. BYU will be no worse than a 5 seed. How are they built to advance in the Big 12 tournament? And then we'll ask you about the big dance after that.
Yeah, I think it comes down to what I mentioned, the bench and the depth. Like we have experienced guys. We're peaking at the right time, which is so important. Like you kind of reveal who you are as a team right now, right? Like a little bit later in February, going into March. And I think we're showing that we're a very capable team. And the depth matters, and this will seem so simple, but it's so real. And at the higher level you get, those tournament games are so packed, right? Like you play one, and then the next day you play another, or you might have a 24-hour break, and it's so different because teams are willing to throw completely different looks at you, right? Like it's not, hey, we're playing you now and then we're going to play you in another 7 weeks. It's like, hey, this is everything. So we're going to do whatever it takes. We're going to game plan. We're going to study a little bit more film and see exactly how to make you uncomfortable. So the game plans are better. The players are adrenalined up and also tired. So it's like who has the most guys, who has the deepest bag, and who has the most creative game plan. So I think we're showing, like I said, middle to end of February, we're showing that those things are all clicking and looking good in our favor.
It's been a long time since BYU's advanced in the NCAA tournament, right? So
Yeah.
Is Jimmer the last?
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. The Jimmer year's last.
Remember, we won a play-in game, but first round, getting out of the first round, that was Jimmer.
Why has that been so hard? BYU's had some good teams. Now, I do think that 2020 team that got short-circuited by COVID, I mean, we all felt really good that was a Sweet 16 team. That was going to be the year, and then it got taken away. Is this a team that could win a game or two in the tournament, do you think?
Yeah, that's where I don't know if I'm just a cautious fan, but I feel like it's kind of luck of the draw, like really.
Matchups.
It's such a crapshoot for seeding and then also matchups, right? Like even last year, I felt like we were peaking at a pretty decent time. We had built a pretty awesome identity, and then we just got a really tough matchup, right? And you could probably go into the game plan and analytics and things we did wrong. You could pick it apart in a million ways, but at the end of the day, there were a lot of teams in that field of 64 that I think we would have beaten, and the one we got to match up against, we didn't, right? And maybe even we would have beat them 9 times out of 10. I don't know. It just wasn't our night. But it's anybody's game. And JT on Saturday was saying something about, well, that's why they call it a Cinderella run or whatever. In my mind, I was going, me filling out my bracket, knowing nothing about this 16 seed or 12 seed or 11 seed, whatever. To me, they're a Cinderella. To them, they're not, right? It comes down to that self-belief that I've been mentioning. And most likely they're there because they won a lot of games and they most likely won their conference, right? So they know how to win. They're peaking at the right times. They believe in themselves. So it's kind of a crapshoot. But do I think that us facing up against most of those teams, we win a game and potentially 2? Yes. Like I would, I'm confident in saying that even with the way I prefaced it. Another thing from Saturday that I took was, okay, muck the game up, slow it down. Your game plan is greater than ours. And we still found a way to have a lead at halftime, right? We showed a lot of resilience. We also showed a lot of versatility in how we can win games. So, I feel like we had a really good display of winning games in different ways, having a deep team, believing in ourselves. So I don't think it's crazy to say we could go on a Sweet 16 run, but it's also March, so everything is crazy.
Well, Dave and I were talking earlier before he came on, and we said the game tomorrow night has some importance for NCAA tournament seeding, likely, because they win tomorrow night, beat Utah, and go win a game in the tournament. They get off of that. Like right now, they're talking about them as an 8 seed. There's a big, huge difference with who you face in the second round if you're a 6 seed rather than you're in that 8-9 game. You could be in the same region as Auburn, And now game 2 is Auburn. Like, that's no fun. Or Houston, right? And so tomorrow night has a little more significance in the long term than it does in the short term, because a win tomorrow night could change a lot of people's minds and really take BYU up in the net. Then they go beat Utah on Saturday, get a bye all the way to the quarterfinals. Even if they say they win in the quarters and then they play a semifinal game and lose, they're probably a 5 or a 6 seed at that point. That's a way different pathway than being where they're talking right now, an 8 seed, right?
Good deal. Yep.
So,
but again, like, 1 seeds have been upset, you know,
Right.
like 2 seeds, like, it's just like, you don't know. You could, I bet our team last year looked at, you know, where they felt they deserve, you know, as far as seeding versus what they got. And if you go back and analyze it, it's like, oh man, that's the path I wish we would have taken, you know, or the couple of years before then when we played UCLA the first round, like, and they go on to go to a Final Four or whatever it was. It's just, there's some luck to it, but luck is on our side right now. I'm feeling it.
there you go.
Eric is feeling it. Now time to open your journal. We're going to go down history lane here. 5 questions is presented by Strategy Square, delivering connection, clarity, and confidence in business and marketing strategies, owned and operated by a BYU alum who's helping the wise guys conquer the world. You can reach Chantal at strategysquare.co. Tonight, Eric's going to reveal his 5 favorite games during his playing career, from 5 to 1, with 1 being the Super Bowl of all moments.
We know that Gonzaga's game is somewhere in here.
We know it's in the list.
Because we did preview that early. But we don't know where it is. And I'm certain it's not number 1, by the way Eric talked about it.
Yeah, I know. He's got a surprise for us.
It's high up there. So am I going?
Yeah. Start with 5, Eric.
All right, so 5, I tried to spread the love a little bit, all the different places I lived and played. So number 5, I had a really cool opportunity to play with Team USA a number of times. I played like 6 or 8 games with them. I can't remember, all qualifying games. So to get us into the World Cup, to get us into the Olympics, whatever it was, to get us into the FIBA America. They're all different. But 1 game in particular, we went to Colombia and played the Colombia national team. It was so cool because just culturally, you know, I had never been to South America. So it was different. It was unique to experience that. It was also really cool because it was kind of a smaller gym, but it was packed. I mean, they wanted to see the USA so bad. They wanted to see their country beat the USA so bad. And then another reason it was fun was, you know, when you get in these games, you know, FIBA. It feels like when you play FIBA, and especially with these national teams, it's like they're trying to get every little mind game out there. They're trying to win in every little incremental way. So, and we knew that. We had talked about it as a unit. We had a game in Vegas. We won. We went down. We said they're going to do stuff that they're going to try and throw off our rhythm. So, you know, for one, there was a leak in the roof. You know, during our 1 practice or 2 practices, there was always a leak. And then 5 minutes before the game, when we're doing our final layups lines, you know, they put a ladder up on the hoop and block us because they have to fix something. You know, it was crazy, but we're all laughing to ourselves like, okay, we prepped for this. You know, we know what we're here to do. We're here to win our second game and get us qualified. So, you know, being with that group of guys, all, you know, I think 11 of the 12 of us had NBA experience. And so really high level people and players. And, you know, we went in there and just kind of ripped it from them. And I don't even remember what we won by. It was probably 16. It was one of those games where it was up and down, but we just kind of finished it off. And it was just a fun atmosphere. I played well, and we had a great group of guys.
That's a worthy
fun
top
experience.
5.
Yeah. So
it was super fun.
Okay.
So number 4.
Yeah, let's go to 4.
So now I'm going to give the G League a little bit of love. So when I was in Vegas with Ignite, my first year when I was healthy, I flirted with a triple-double like 7 or 8 times. And I finally got one. We were in RGV, so Rio Grande Valley. We were playing the Houston Rockets G League team.
Oh, the Rio Grande Valley Vipers. Yeah.
That's right. I got an awesome stadium.
You don't even know that I called the G League for a year, do you?
I do now. Yeah,
I did the Dallas Legends at the Rio Grande Valley Vipers one time.
Okay. Yeah.
And Nancy Lieberman was the first female to ever coach a men's professional sporting event, and we covered it on NBC National that night. And I was like, wow, there's a team in Rio Grande Valley Vipers down in Hidalgo, Texas.
They got a nice stadium and a good
unbelievable
following.
arena. The place is packed.
Yeah.
It's like crazy.
I know they have like 12,000 people, 12 to 14,000 people. It's packed.
It's nuts. It was really,
they do
really
a
fun.
really good job. So, you know, it was let's see. It was the second of a back-to-back too. So we lost the first game. I think I played well. It was a close one. Very next day, I had to come back and play and got a triple-double. It was like
triple-double.
12 or 19, 12, and 14 or something like that. And it was just fun because like I was so close so many times and my team wanted me to get it so badly and they let me play point center. So they were just feeding me. They told me I had 9 assists and they threw me back out there. So it was a lot of fun and felt like it was kind of the top of my playing career because I was physically, I felt really good, but mentally the game had slowed down like never before. So yeah,
that's awesome.
A lot of fun.
So he's in Colombia. He has
what's that?
I said, this is going to be fun because this is like a tour around the world. Your 5 is in Colombia in South America. Your 4 is you fly to McAllen and drive south. If you get to the border of Mexico, you went like a half a mile too far.
Yeah, basically Mexico.
So you're right there. So now I can't wait to hear where 3 is. Someplace else in the world.
Well, I'm keeping the rest a little bit closer. So 3 is, you know, the NCAA tournament, even though, man, and that's what I mean about luck of the draw, because my freshman year, you know, we had a super talented team. Kyle Collinsworth goes down the WCC championship with his knee, which was such a hit to us.
Yeah, we were there for that.
We were playing at a you know, a high level, not the highest, but we were playing well. We had a good team. He goes down, and then we're a 10 seed, and we play a 7 seed Oregon, who at some point in that year had been like top 15, you know, like maybe even top 10, like they were super talented and we had already played them. So it was kind of a bummer because like I wanted to experience someone else and they had been ranked super, super high. So it was just a tough draw, right? And they went on to win maybe even 2 games, but just being in the tournament was cool. Like we practiced in Wisconsin right after University of Wisconsin did. So, you know, as they were being ushered off the floor, there was a standing ovation from all the red that were in the crowd, and then there were just thousands of people sitting there watching us practice, which was pretty cool. It's the biggest stage in college sports, and I got to experience it, which I'm super grateful for. So that was a cool one.
We talk about how NIL has changed the game in the current state. Had there been NIL a few years ago when you were here, you probably would have had 2 more NCAA tournament runs in your career, don't you think? Or would that have been a harder call?
Yeah, I like at the end of the day, there were, you know, 4 or 5 things that probably went into my decision leaving early.
Yeah.
But like knowing that there's a short window of time that I can earn money playing basketball was number one. You know, I'm married.
Sure.
I'm now kind of in real life now that I'm back from my mission and picking a major and trying to balance all these things in life. And it's like, oh my gosh, I have to make money. Like eventually I'm going to have kids. Right. So I knew there was only a certain amount of years. I was right. Cause here I am after 7 years with a bad knee. And it's like money was probably the biggest factor. And so if NIL was a thing, I would have stayed, you know, I always joke, and I think I've told Nate Austin this right to his face, I would have stayed longer than Nate Austin. Right?
Wow, that's almost impossible.
That's a long time.
I would have, you know, just absolutely taken advantage of that and stayed and been a part of it. But yeah, being there once is 1 out of 2 years is pretty good, so I'll take it.
There you go.
Good.
Okay, how about number 2?
Okay, number 2 is the one you guys are waiting for, Gonzaga.
There we go.
Beating the Zags.
Like, what a good team. What an incredible year they had. Ours was up and down, so it meant so much to us. I told you guys that we were just playing loose and free like we wanted to all year, and I think it showed the potential that team had and the talent that team had. Obviously, you know, personally I had a fun game. I had a great matchup, and we were exploiting those matchups, right? So that's always fun when I can truly say, like, people talk about like being in the zone, and that was one game where I was in the zone. Like I wasn't thinking about makes or misses. I was just I was playing, I was having fun, and the ball happened to be going in. So it was a good time. That block on Zach Collins was super gratifying. You know, I thought for sure I was going to get a foul just because of how college refs work, but
Right.
didn't get a foul and ended up being a big play. So that one was super, super fun.
29 points.
Yeah. Did you silence the dog pound up there? They've got this reputation that's a loud arena, not huge.
Oh yeah, it was loud, and I was talking to the crowd the whole time, which made it super fun too. After every bucket, I was saying something probably inappropriate, but then you get to the end and they're honoring the seniors, and these are they're 29-1. Their newspapers already been printed saying they 30-0. They thought they were going to dog walk us out of there. And then they're honoring the seniors, and it's dead silent. And I'm the only person in the gym talking, getting interviewed by ESPN, and it was like one of the richest moments of my life.
Oh, that's awesome. Who gets that? Who gets that? You got that. That's a great moment. I don't know how that's not number one.
Yeah.
Sets the stage for number one.
Here goes number one.
It's my call up against the Lakers.
Yes.
It was super, super gratifying, as were the other situations. But, the way that it happened was really cool, and the circumstances were fortunate, and I was lucky to do it. But just going in that game, there was a million emotions, right? It was, man, I can't believe I'm actually here, first and foremost. Like, Luke Walton just called my name, and I'm going in a game, and I'm guarding AD, right? Like that, it's mind-blowing, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I shouldn't be here. But then looking back on it, it's like, holy cow, like how lucky was I to be in that position, to have the coaches that I had, to have the support system and the family and the teammates and all the right things, right? Like, I think we as society, and especially me, when I look back on my basketball career, think about all the wrong things. What if I did have NIL, and what if I did, stay healthy this time or that time, or got the look or this or that, There's so many things that have to go right, and so we focus on the ones that go wrong. But in that case, I was so fortunate, and so many things did go right. So it was very gratifying. It was very, very special. My parents were able to catch a last-minute flight to get there with my cousin. He came as well. My wife was already in town. She was kind of going back and forth because she was doing some school. So to warm up, actually to game plan and watch film on AD and LeBron and be told how to guard them was pretty surreal. To be in layup lines and make eye contact with LeBron and he looked straight through my soul was pretty surreal. And then to go out there and guard AD, put up some numbers, and that was a championship team that we played against, and I held my own. So it was very cool for a million reasons, and the biggest takeaway I had was like, man, I'm lucky to be here, and I was lucky to get that opportunity.
In the show, do you remember hearing the PA guy say, "Now in for the Kings, Eric Mika"?
I do, yeah. That was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. The biggest thing was when Luke Walton called me, though. My legs were jello. Like I got in that game. You could watch the film, and the whole Lakers bench. Again, this is the championship team. Yeah. Kuzma's on this team. Rajon Rondo's on this team. Dwight Howard. Maybe even. All these guys. Avery Bradley. All these guys are on this team. I check into the game, and they go, "Who is that guy?" They're like, AD. They call out. They're like, AD, like, go at this guy. They're just yelling at me, and I'm already nervous. And so then they did. They threw it in from the side, and they ISO'd AD, and my legs were jello. Like he took a couple dribbles at me, and if he would have crossed over, I would have fallen over. But he kind of decided to go right at me, and so I just fell down and just brought him down with me. Yeah. And so they called a foul, and I kind of settled in. I'm like, okay, I'm here. I'm alive.
I got this now.
I just gotta not fall over, and I'll be all right. So I set a pretty low bar in that first play, but it went really well after that.
What a story!
It is amazing. The good news is, though, Eric, as you get older, when you get Dave and my age, you'll be talking about how you dunked on LeBron at that point. Because the older we get, the better we were. That's what happens.
Yeah, I'm already starting to believe it, honestly.
The great Eric Mika, you can see him on BYU TV's pre- and post-game coverage this season. Doing a nice job with that, by the way. We look forward to many seasons ahead, and of course, Lone Peak star and a BYU star, and the day he took down AD and dunked on LeBron. You know,
I thought we were going to get some.
Hit the game-winning shot
hit
from
the
half
game
court.
winner.
I thought we were going to have a game in here from Italy or something, but nothing from Italy.
I know. You know,
because you went back to your homeland. Didn't you meet your wife in Italy? Like when you were in admissions?
My wife went in Highland. We went to high school.
Dang.
No, there's some Italian games there too, for sure. But man, Italy was tough because I was a rookie, so year one was hard, and year two I ended up switching teams. So, not that I have bad memories, but those 5 are just hard to beat.
Those are 5 awesome.
I know those
moments.
are great ones. I have a lot of good memories in Italy, not playing just because I love Italy. But there you go.
Hey, enjoy the game tomorrow night. The Big 12's coming up. The NCAA's coming up. This is a fun time to be in this as a fan, as a broadcaster, as a former player.
Yep.
Who got to the show himself. Eric Mika, thank you so much for being with us.
We'll see you again. Let's get together again soon. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you guys. You're the best.
All
See you,
right.
man.
Eric Mika, one of our favorites, and man, did he take down the Zags. Number one, they're 29-0. He gets 29 points, 11 or 12 rebounds.
One of the great individual performances in one of the biggest games in BYU history.
Yeah.
Great game.
ESPN, it was big. Next week, Greg Wrubell and Mark Durant are going to join the show as we get ready for the Big 12 tournament. Let's dive into the Cougar Board question of the week, and Jordan Sitterud's going to join us in a couple of minutes and show us what he's up to, a BYU grad doing some cool things. Here's the Cougar Board question of the week. If you're not familiar with Cougar Board, it's the largest online community of BYU fans with thousands of posts every day. This question comes from Preppy, one of their insider subscribers. By the way, Liberty, Missouri, hello. Tooele, hello. Stockton, California. Orem, Utah. Naperville, Illinois. Just want to catch up on some of the guys on the stream. Thanks for being with us, some of the men and women on the stream.
Yeah, hey, and by the way, how about Jessica? Did you see Jessica Johnson piped in there? Our old producer? So Jessica Johnson said, hey, friends, I'm on the road in Hope, Pennsylvania watching. So I think this is the first time somebody from Hope, Pennsylvania, but Jessica Johnson was a producer that worked with us on many, many games, and we love Jessica. So shout out to Jessica. Glad you're watching tonight.
Here's a question from Preppy, one of the Cougar Board Insider subscribers. We're in the athletic director hiring process. 2 names stand out in many circles, Lewis and Santiago. Chad Lewis, Brian Santiago. Can you speak to the positives of both or either, ? Could either candidate push BYU into ongoing competitive relevance for decades to come? Both are outstanding guys. We've known them for years.
Yeah.
They bleed blue. They've thrown it all in. They're both very different. Chad has been on the fundraising side. Brian's been on the executing side of running the department, kind of Tom Homo's right-hand man, certainly Tom Homo's right-hand man. Either one of those could get the job or somebody else, but they both bring unique skill sets in. One, Brian knows everything.
He knows how everything works. Yeah.
And Chad, on the other hand, has his own skill set of communicating with people like most can't.
Yeah.
And that gives him equal strengths.
Right. Yeah. They're both, and either could do a great job. And here's what I hope. One or the other gets the job, that the other stays. Because they do have different skill sets, and they're both really, really valuable to BYU. And so, and it might not be either of those, because I know that they wanted to embark on a national search. And so there could be some names that none of us are even thinking of that have applied for this job that they could talk to. But you know, Dave and I don't pick sides because Chad and Brian are both really, really good friends of ours.
And we work with both.
Yeah, and we work with both of them. And as Dave said, Chad's got a great presence about him. He'd be a great face of the program. He's got a lot of relationships. Brian knows the ins and outs of everything that's gone on here forever and ever. And so it would be like he'd be a really quick start at whatever's getting done. And Brian's also tied to a lot of the big donors that he's worked with to work things out, to fundraise and all that kind of stuff. So they're both very experienced. They've both been here. They're both very qualified. And yeah, we don't know. We don't know more than that at this point. Or who else is even.
I'll be honest, I kind of thought it'd be over already.
Yeah.
They're taking their time.
Yeah.
And it's a big, big job. It's a different job than the one Tom got hired for, or Glenn Tuckett got hired for, or Val Hale got hired for. It's a different thing.
Well, and here's the other thing. And I expect there to be some maybe additional positions added. Like I would recommend it. There's so much, for lack of a better word, finance and business involved in athletics these days. This is like running $100 million business. right now.
Yeah.
And so they need to have people, and they already have hired some that do nothing but manage the business end of it. Revenue sharing's coming into the forefront with the athletes. NIL is getting more and more, it's going to get pushed more of the NIL responsibility to the universities. And so, there's probably some layers that need to be added as they kind of morph into this new era in college sports. We got to bring some big time business people in to help with that as well.
It's going to be interesting moving forward for sure. It's always changing. But before we bring Jordan on, let's put a bow on basketball. Women's hoops, the Cougars finished the regular season 13-16, 4-14 in the Big 12. Earlier today, Delaney Gibb named the Big 12 Freshman of the Week. They should just call that the Delaney Gibb Award. Yeah. 10 times, second most in Big 12 history.
If she doesn't win the Big 12 Freshman of the Year award,
I think she won it like a month and a half ago.
I'm just going to say right now, it's fixed if she doesn't win it, right?
I'm curious to see if she can sneak into the first team.
That's the one.
Big 12.
I think you can make a case that she could be first team all Big 12.
Yeah, absolutely, you could. The Big 12 postseason awards, we think will be out tomorrow, Wednesday for sure. And that's when first team and coach of the year and all that stuff.
She'll be honored for sure.
The women's tournament is this week. Boy, did you see the end of that Utah game?
Oh, my goodness. Half-court shot for the win in overtime. What in the world?
BYU, big underdogs. They got behind a lot early in the game. They come charging back. They have it, right? The Utes have to score to tie it, and they get fouled. They make 2 free throws. BYU's got 18 seconds to either, they're already in overtime, take the final shot, and Delaney drove into the lane, lost the ball with 3 seconds left. They chuck it to half court, and then they chuck it into the basket.
Unbelievable.
And win the game 76-73. That's kind of how the season's gone. It's ironic that it was a turnover at the end that did them in, or at least led to a phenomenal shot. But Delaney Gibb had 36 points up in Salt Lake City.
Yeah, and her line was amazing. 13 of 18 from the field in that game. She was 5 of 7 from 3. 10 boards. So double-double again. She has just been incredible. We heard great things about her coming down from Canada and how good she was. Mm-hmm. Every one of those are true. Like, nobody exaggerated about how good she is. She's phenomenal.
She has a chance to rewrite women's history at BYU.
Yeah.
It's up to her, right? This is a great start as a freshman, and we'll see what the future holds.
You and I were talking. They got to get some.
She's phenomenal.
This league has so many good bigs, right? That BYU's got to get some length to help her out.
Just think what BYU's inside game has done on the men's side for all the shooters outside. Once Foose is attacking the rim, all of a sudden Nell's open, Demon's open, Dallin Hall's open, Richie's open, and they're all good shooters. But they're not double teamed at that point.
Right.
And they're open.
And Kaba has added something to BYU, even though he's only 6'9", was the ability to jump and his physicality in there. And then you can bring I'm losing my mind.
Mowat Mag?
Yeah, Mowat, and it's 6'7". Like, BYU added a bunch of length in the offseason that's really helped them defensively. And that's BYU women's basketball needs to add some length, especially in the post this offseason.
So that was a bummer of a finish. Congrats to the Utes hitting a half-court shot, but 36 points for Delaney. And then earlier in the week, Kansas beat BYU in Provo 71-66. Very winnable game for the Cougars. Amari Whiting had 24 points. She was 10 of 11 from the field.
How about that?
If we get Whiting and Delaney firing on the same page, then that's that dynamic guard line that they've kind of envisioned. It just kind of was hit and miss, and most of the hitting was Delaney through the course of the season. So that takes us to tonight. And in the coming days, the Big 12 women's tournament starts Wednesday in Kansas City. The Cougars are a 12 seed. They're going to play the 13 seed UCF Wednesday morning at 10 o'clock Mountain Time, ESPN Plus and BYU Radio with Jason Shepp. I think he's already back there.
Yeah, he's on his way.
Eating barbecue and stuff.
Yeah, he would be.
But this is a rematch.
And it's in Kansas City, right? So he's checking in with Andy Reid because he's a big Chiefs fan. Yep. So, hey, last time BYU played Central Florida, 73-66 win in Provo on February 5th. So Gibb had 19 points. Brindley Cannon had 13. BYU had 19 turnovers.
And still won.
Yeah. And UCF only had 7, right? So we'll see. They won in spite of themselves in that game because they were turning it over. If they can take care of the ball, maybe they get a couple wins here in this tournament.
Michael on the stream, Fusa's sister 6'4", and she's coming next season. That's true, but there's gonna be some development time before she's a dominant post player. But she is 6'4", but she's coming in young, and it's going to take a little bit for her to be that dominant.
Right.
So they got to go find some other ones as well. If BYU wins Wednesday, they'll face number 20 Kansas State Thursday, 10 o'clock Mountain Time. These games are on ESPN Plus and BYU Radio. Now, that's a tough one. When they played in Provo on January 11th, the Wildcats were number 11, and they beat BYU 92-65.
Yeah.
I went over and watched that game, and it was a mismatch from the second quarter on. First quarter, toe-to-toe.
Right.
And then there was a talent separation, a height separation.
Yeah.
And then it was over.
Wow. Yeah, it was crazy.
So they should beat UCF. And then you take your shot against
Have
Kansas
a great
State.
shooting night and hope.
Yeah. Once you get up into the upper echelon of first, second, third place in the Big 12, those are dominant
those are good
national teams.
Yeah.
And so Kansas State could be their opponent on Thursday. But it's fun to have a tournament week. And so game one for the Cougars will be Wednesday morning.
There you go. So,
all right, let's bring in our next guest. Let's bring him. He's waited long enough. We apologize for that. We'll give you Eric's cell number, and you can call him and say, hey, you talked way too long. But our next guest is a BYU grad who started the company Big Shot Merch, officially licensed BYU merchandiser. And Wise Guys is a perfect place to spotlight BYU grads who are doing great things. So it's our pleasure to welcome Jordan Sitterud to the show. And you found us okay?
Yeah. I parked on the wrong street.
Don't tell anybody where we are because for safety reasons,
it's a whole police situation.
This is an undisclosed situation. So,
what do you think of our place?
I got you. This is awesome. I love the setup. I'm really jealous of this right here.
This background,
is awesome.
yeah, that's pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah, this is where
Jack
we
Hadley,
do it.
And it's your sister, right, Jack, that helped with this, I think. We wanted this retro look, and I think they just hit it just right. It's really fun.
No, it's awesome. It's not BYU related, but there's a little Pee Wee Herman little figure.
Oh, it's
in there.
There's a lot of things scattered around here. We're not even sure how they got in.
Sometimes when Dave stumbles in, he goes, "I meant to do that," just like Pee Wee does.
Can you remember a better time than this for BYU sports across the board?
No, not in my lifetime. And this is awesome. Like such a great time to be a BYU fan. It's been great. Football has been awesome. Basketball's been great, and it's very exciting.
During your time at BYU, you worked with our dear friend David Alamadova.
Yes.
Who we've known for years and loved David. In the sports marketing, fan experience, part of what happens at BYU, which is they do a phenomenal job behind the scenes. And I don't know that people even understand how much of a job that is to provide the experience that they get at the stadium and the Marriott Center and all of that. What was that like to work for sports marketing during that time?
Yeah, it was credible. Like it was a blast. There was so much going on. There's so much that goes on behind the scenes. And I think when you go to the games and you feel the atmosphere, you see what's all going on, it's just this great environment. And there's nothing really quite like it. I think last season, lots of teams commented on it. This is a special place. And that is in large part with Dova, what he's done with Anna and Joel. Like the whole team there is just killing it. And I think the fans notice too. There's just a very special atmosphere that
they all get in on it. So the last media timeout is when the lights go down and Cosmo comes out and the turbulence
happens.
How many people does it take to pull off that 2-minute explosion of energy that you guys do?
It takes a lot. It depends on the sport too.
Like in football, it's like an event.
It's an army, right?
Yeah. So we got the whole team for that. So usually for football games, I think they changed it up a little bit this past season, but you had people like waving flags. We had the whole team was there. I remember for basketball, sometimes I got to hold the drum for Cosmo.
Right.
And I felt awesome. Kind of, no one's really noticing me, but I'm like right there.
You're center.
Cosmo.
You're right in the middle of it all.
It was awesome.
I wish
so cool.
I wish I could have been in the meeting on the day when you guys are all sitting around trying to think of what new you can do, and someone suggests we should bring fire into it. That's one thing we're missing is missing fire, and then the fire dancers come, and it just goes next level.
It was crazy, yeah. Such an awesome addition. I think the first game that we did it, I'm trying to remember which one it was, but that was such a great add-on. We just if I remember right, Anna Metcalf, she is wonderful, but she brought them on. If I remember right. But we put it on just to try it out. Huge hit. Everyone loved it, and I'm glad that they're still around. They're still going.
And Dave will remember there was a game we were watching, and the visiting team, they got out on the field instead of being on the sideline, and they were kind of getting in the way with the fire dancers, and then there had some words were said, and I just thought, those players better back off, because I think those fire dancers could beat the crap out of that entire team there. These are some big 100%. Dudes.
Yeah.
Some big Polynesian dudes like that.
They're
are
big.
And I thought, no, I can't remember who it was. Was it Kansas? I can't remember.
It might have been Kansas State, but the next game
they were like, hey, you need to. I was like, Kansas State.
Give some space.
You need to mind your business and back off, because you're going to get in trouble here.
They can breathe that too. Like they got range.
Breathe
on
the
that.
fire. Yeah.
They redirected the guys on the next game, right? They didn't even have the fire dancers walk close to the team. Speaking of hype and hoopla, with the basketball team and knowing who's coming next season, what trajectory do you see? One, for marketing, and two, for just the general BYU basketball experience?
It's going to be unreal. I mean, this season's just been, we've had some up and downs at the beginning. We're starting to get our stride. The team's looking really good. It's been awesome. I'm so excited, for the rest of the season, but also for next season. I think it's going to be incredible. I know the team's going to do great. This is going to be really, really fun.
When you bring a national name in, like, it's amazing to me that you got a high school player like AJ DeBonsa, who's coming. He's also already a national brand.
Yeah.
Already a national brand.
Not wild.
How does that affect sports marketing? Do they tap into that and do special things involving him, since he's such a national name already?
They can sometimes. I think just really building off the momentum of everything, all the hype, all the excitement. Just how can you accentuate that? How you can get more people involved and get more people out to the games? That's really what it comes down to. Like, how do you get people out to the games? Make sure it's a good experience, and then wins are the best thing.
Well, when it comes to football, we like to see the jets around here. We're big with the flyovers. And
awesome.
those are often tied into what time the game is, and is it dark, and we've had so many night games. But the football team's coming back around, 11-2. This year they'll be ranked in the top 20, starting the season instead of at the end. So there's a whole new hype level there as well, and a great opportunity for BYU in their third year of the Big 12. How do you see that shaking out?
Again, just like super excited. I'm like I said earlier, just what a great time to be a BYU fan. Just can't be more excited. So hopeful. Tom's leaving. You touched on it earlier, and he's been so great for the program. Amazing guy. But I know just with the team that BYU has and being able to meet a lot of those people, we're in good hands, and things are only going to go up.
All of this, you mentioned winning is great for the marketing team, because winning allows you to get more people and get more people engaged and all that. But it's got to be good for your business too.
Yeah.
And especially when you're in the BYU merchandise business. So tell us a little bit about Big Shot merch. I was telling Dave, when we go on vacation, my kids at the end of vacation always go, Dad, what about some merch though? We got to take some merch home. So that's what they call it. That's the new term. And I love the name Big Shot merch. That'll ring home with my kids. So tell us about that company.
Thank you. Yeah. So while I was there doing sports marketing and fan experience at BYU, I was really just thinking about the whole experience of the fans going to the games, and really was focusing a lot on anticipation and that feeling before the game, before we even have that experience, what we're thinking and feeling. And I've always really liked fashion and clothes and things, especially when it related to sports. And was just thinking a lot about the merch, and we always rep the Y wherever we go, and how can we use merchandise to accentuate the game day experience? And so from that, we had some conversations and came up with the game day locker, which I'll show you guys in a bit. But really just wanted to bring merchandise into the whole experience of game day, essentially, is what it was. And that's how this all came about.
Jordan Sitterud, BYU grad, is on the Wise Guys, presented by Brady Plus, distributed by the Deseret News, as an official merchandiser of BYU Athletics. So you have the stamp of approval. What does that allow you to do?
Get to make stuff. I get to make stuff with BYU's logos and represent the school, represent the athletic program, all their teams, and super grateful for that. And really, just everything that I make, I really want it to deepen the connection between the fans and the team in the sport and this, the whole experience as a whole, with my background in sports marketing and
Right.
Fanix, like that's really the whole intention of this brand. And so being officially licensed, it's great to be able to officially represent BYU and the stuff that I make. And I really hope that the community feels that and notices it. And I just really want to be a positive force for them.
Well, let's start with the shirt on your back.
Yeah, like what? That's
you
one
went
of
right
yours,
after one of the
That's
most
yours,
beloved BYU guys in
Mr. Detmer.
school history. Tell
Mr.
us
Detmer.
tell us about that.
Yeah, this shirt. So I was watching, with 100 years of football, 100 seasons, I should say. Just watched, really delved into old footage, old games, archives, pieces, and all that. And Ty Detmer is just a very special player. Watching his highlights are just unreal, and watching those games it was just a lot of fun. And I really wanted to make a shirt and kind of had an idea for the style. And another point with the brand with Big Shot is connecting the local art scene and the designers here. There's so much talent here in Provo, and I hit up my friend Jake Reedy. You have a question?
No, I know that. Yeah, no, it's fun.
Yeah. And so there's a local artist named Jake Reedy, super talented, great, awesome guy, friend of mine. And it's like, hey, I have this idea for a shirt with this football player. Sent him some clips and videos, and we watched some of the gameplay. And he went through and kind of figured out like, what forms can we do? How can we make this kind of a little different? And so he painted this, and he did a great job. It's awesome. And then the cut is just a 90s cut, a little bit oversized.
Yeah.
I actually have shirts for you guys.
Fantastic.
Oh, nice.
Fantastic.
If you want. But yeah, that's how it came about. And it's out. We still have some available if people want to purchase it, just at bigshotmerch.com. And it was really fun to put together.
Now you brought a locker in
you
here.
brought
This
a
is kind of your
locker.
big thing.
We have lockers back here.
Roll
but-
that up. Put that on the desk and
This
show us what you
is
got.
the game day locker. Was this like the
This is it.
original,
This is it.
the original piece that like the thing you launched the
You see
company
that
with?
okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is
So what's in that thing?
So this is the game day locker. This is it. So this is the original sample we made for 2022, the football season.
Yeah.
And this is just kind of like the market test. The marketing team, the fan experience team, let me build this out, and we kind of just gave them to friends of the program and coaches. And so basically what this is, you get the locker and then you open it up.
Velcro, nice.
Oh, nice.
Ooh. And then, man, I'm trying to figure out how to
Are these all drawers?
these are drawers. Yes.
Oh, and it has each game of the season.
Yes, sir. Each home game. Yeah.
All right.
So you open it up, there's drawers, each home game of the season, and then you just slide it on open. I kind of packed them just so I can show you some of the shirts, but
So you can buy this as a gift for your Cougar fans, and then they've got something for every game.
yeah. So we'll have different shirts. This is stuff that we did in the past. I'm gonna set this back down.
Okay.
That's okay.
Yeah.
All right. So that's full of something for every game.
So there's something unique and different for
Yeah.
each game of the season. Yeah, look, he's got stuff in every drawer.
Yeah. These are your shirts.
Oh, those are
Oh,
shirts.
nice.
Guys.
This is nice.
Thank you. Awesome.
Oh, this is like almost like jersey material, right? Yeah.
That's great. Look at that.
I'm gonna
Ty comes on the show all the time. Now
I'm
we
gonna,
got shirts.
I'm gonna put the shirt on and like wear it someplace important and take a picture of a selfie and send it to Ty. Say, I'm representing you, bro.
No, that'd be awesome. So basically we have a drawer for each game, each home game, and then in that is exclusive merchandise to wear to that game that will go along with the themes and the colors.
Coordinated with if it's white out right at the stadium and all that
Exactly.
stuff.
So it's
Exactly.
based on the right colors, yeah.
Yeah. And so
I like this.
Yeah, so I mean, like with this season 22, we had, here's one shirt,
Nice. Oh yeah.
Go Rise and Shout in the back.
Cool.
We had an artist named Corey Martin who was in Salt Lake. He drew the BYU logo, drew the Velvet Stadium.
And you mentioned this, that you're trying to use local artists for the artwork. Is that ongoing? Is that what you're going to continue to do? Is to do that?
Yeah.
How do you think this looks?
I think it looks fantastic.
Is this a good
in
look
here.
for me?
Yeah.
Right
That
now?
looks great.
What do you
That
think,
looks
Steve?
great.
This is a good look over there?
Hey, Devin Weeks says, I sit next to Jordan at work and have known him for years, love his designs, and big shot. So there you go.
Hey, shout out to Devin.
All right, what else you got? What else you
Devin's
Yeah,
great.
what's this one?
This is probably one of my favorite ones that we've done.
Nice.
This was like the last year, we're leaving the Independence.
Oh, Independence Farewell Tour, yeah.
And so we had Cosmo, a little Grateful Dead inspired.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Cosmo shredding the guitar. And
I'm sure Duff Tittle signed off on that.
Yeah, I'm sure he did.
Grateful Dead.
And so, it was a lot of fun. And a lot of these two, we had Grace White, a BYU grad, graphic designer, illustrator, do that one. And then a design studio called Actual Source that's based here in Provo. They helped a lot with these designs as well. And
I like that one too.
Rise and
That's cool.
Shout and a long sleeve tee. That's nice.
So I've seen these go out. That you mentioned the athletic department sent them to a lot of folks. So now with the upcoming season, are you waiting for where you got to find out first what the uniform schemes are going to be and all that?
Yeah. So there's a little bit of things can change and everything. So we basically get the designs ready, and then basically we get all of our sourcing, everything ready, and then they're starting to get the colors coordinated a little bit earlier now,
right?
Which is really nice.
Give you a little lead time to put the designs with the appropriate colors.
You remember last year they announced the whole season before the season?
Yeah.
That helps you.
Helps me a lot.
Yeah.
We're just always on our toes, ready to go, but we get all the designs ready, and if they change the colors and stuff, we can make those adjustments as necessary. And we have it ready to go, and really excited to.
That's awesome.
Bring it out for next
So
season.
you graduated from BYU with a marketing degree. How did that educational experience there prep you for your business?
A lot. The marketing program was great. I loved it, and just really helped me to try to understand people. I feel like that's the biggest thing, and really try to tap into what people want, what people get excited about, and really just try to put myself in the shoes of others and what they're going through. And it helped me a lot with sports marketing while I was at BYU too. And, just helped me get in the right mindset to figure out what I wanted Big Shot to be.
So you got to get in the shoes of others to get them to get in your shoes. Am I really?
Yes.
Am I hearing that right?
Are shoes going to be part of your portfolio eventually?
Shirts and jackets.
Are you going to do shoes at some point?
I potentially. There's some ideas, but
that's awesome.
I'll have some other things, and it won't just be clothing. In the locker coming up for the 25 season, we'll have.
So do you already know what you're going to put for the Utes game? You already figured that one out?
Can't reveal it yet, right?
Can't reveal it. So this is it's all supposed to be fun anticipation, right?
Yeah.
And so
open the box and see.
I want to see some hand painted shoes for the Ute game. That was
that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
Where can folks buy your stuff?
It's at bigshotmerch.com.
Bigshotmerch.com. We put the link to your place on our.
So for 2025 football season, when do you think the lockers will be available to purchase?
So the lockers are available now.
Okay.
So you can pre-order the locker now up till April 1st, and then it'll be closed. So it's pre-order only.
Okay.
So you buy
you
the
can
locker.
make them to order then, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll make them to order.
So they have to order the sizes and everything for the locker too. Yeah, okay. So
yeah. So basically you go on the website, you find your size, you order it, and then there's a description saying we'll send it out in August. So we'll get everything ready for you, send it to you before the season starts. That we have it ready to go for the season.
Hey, what kids wouldn't love that, to have the locker show up with all their gear? Would you take that thing off?
No, because I feel like I look like. Do you
put
remember
it on
the guy?
and then put your headset on.
Do you remember the guy with the big
good.
head
That's
on the
good.
Jetsons? Do I not look like the Jetsons guy with the big head? What was that guy's name? Come on.
I don't know. But
DJ's always good for this. DJ, the guy with the big head on the Jetsons. Yeah, I can't remember his name, but this looks like him.
yeah, it does.
I thought it was a good look.
Not to redo my hair.
I'm just saying I'm not saying it was a look you should shy away from, and saying put that thing on and then your headset.
Oh, no, I like it
then
over
it'll
the
look
headset.
awesome.
I think it looks really cool over the headset. That's my favorite look.
Jordan, we're ready for 5 questions presented by Strategy Square. You ready?
All right.
Blaine, you ready to take them?
We're going to start with your favorite sports movie.
This is where we get to know
Favorite sports
about
movie.
you.
Okay, I've been watching this show for a while. I've been trying to figure out a sports movie that hasn't been mentioned
that's
before.
going to be hard, but
it's got to be your favorite.
If you say Remember the Titans, then it's going to be everybody's because that's has half the
Well,
guests.
one is they're all my favorite. I want to say The Last Dance. I know that's a documentary, but it has episodes and everything.
That counts.
I feel like that should count.
We're putting that down.
And then another one I feel like hasn't been mentioned is this is kind of I was just trying to find something rare.
Yeah.
Love and Basketball.
I don't know if I've ever seen Last Dance. Of course, I watched, but Love and Basketball.
I've never even heard of that.
Has anyone mentioned that on the
I
show?
don't think so.
That's the first love of
Right.
basketball.
Cool.
I remember that.
That's like
Mission
Okay.
my
accomplished.
second goal of coming here on the show.
We don't even
So-
know if it's the name of a movie. You might
Yeah,
have
you
just
might,
made it up.
if you made that up, like I'm gonna get a hold of you and let you know that you made that up. But I'm gonna look for it. Okay, what about your favorite singer or band?
Ooh, can I give you a few?
Yeah,
for right now.
Give us 3.
3. Okay. I mean, lately I've been big on Grateful Dead for a while.
Wow, you're a Deadhead.
I'm a Deadhead. I'm seeing them
Making
in
Dead
April
shirts.
at the Sphere.
Oh, yeah?
Eventually,
Nice.
potentially. Super excited for that. Bob Dylan, I've been really into.
Man, you're completely old school.
And then more modern, I always love Kendrick Lamar. And then
Okay, not that's just like completely different genre.
This
know,
isn't name
you know.
your favorite 10 bands.
I told him he could do 3.
and Charlie XCX. We got to
but,
give it a shout out
when he
too.
said Grateful Dead and Bob Dylan, I'm like, okay, we're
DJ, stay out of
they're
this.
kind
Yeah, I
of in
know
the same
DJ
genre.
I know
then
DJ
he,
likes her
then he
too.
goes from those to Kendrick Lamar immediately.
so-
Kendrick's great. I've always been a huge fan, and
Yeah.
it was cool. I know the halftime show had a little mixed reviews, but I'm glad that he's having a moment.
All I can say is that's an eclectic
I was up getting chips.
taste in music, and that's all good.
I like music.
Say.
Okay.
Number 3 is your favorite breakfast cereal.
Breakfast cereal. I would say Honey Bunches of Oats
Okay.
I actually like Honey Bunches of Oats
with almonds.
with almonds.
almonds.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
a complete.
I think that's
different,
the flavor.
You know,
Yeah,
Honey Bunches of Oats with almonds.
that stuff's great.
Okay.
Breakfast of Champions.
He likes
Captain
plain
Crunch.
old Captain Crunch without crunch berries.
Yeah, it's him this morning.
No berries.
straight.
No
That's
oops all
old
berries.
school.
Do you see how he
nothing?
said that? That's exactly what I say
Straight
every time we do this.
berries.
Like,
2%
no
milk.
berries?
I don't need a dog and pony show. I just have.
Okay. They'll cut to the roof of your mouth and you'll never be the same. But whatever he likes, it's
What's
okay.
yours? What's your favorite?
I go back and forth, but I'm going to say Cinnamon Life.
Cinnamon Life. Okay, great choice.
Yeah, and I also like Apple Jacks.
Apple Jacks.
Yeah, and Frosted Flakes. But
Now we're
certainly,
just
You got a lot of
now
favorites.
just walking
You
but
down the aisle.
certainly not Captain Crunch without crunch berries. Like I could go for it with
You
crunch
gotta,
berries.
yeah, you gotta have, yeah, you gotta have the berries.
Okay, your
don't have to
favorite,
have the berries.
Your favorite hamburger, like
My favorite hamburger.
that you don't cook at home, like your favorite
where
burger
you go
place
get-
to go.
That's a good question.
Anywhere in the world too. It doesn't have to be here in Provo.
In the world, okay. Man, there's a spot back home. I can't remember what it's called. I'm so sorry.
What's back
to
home?
that
Where's
spot.
back home?
I'm from Roseville, California.
Wait, you're from the same place as Robbie Bosco?
Yeah, Mr. Bosco himself.
The Roseville Rifle, Robbie Bosco?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Okay.
So there's a hamburger place there.
There's a
what you're
spot.
saying?
There's a spot in the area. I can't think of it, but locally, Burger Supreme after 8:30, it's half off on the cheeseburgers.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Over there by campus.
8:30.
Yeah.
So
They
might
have,
have to
they
try
have a good
that.
cheeseburger. I like that.
that's like I never went there for years, and then
That's a go.
last year
That's
I
a go
went
after the show on
That
Monday
really
night.
is.
For the
Yeah,
place, half
yeah.
off.
every week.
We just
every
take the
week.
long way there, and it'll be after 8:30.
It's awesome. Great place.
So okay, Burger Supreme it is.
And then backdoor burger too is really good.
Backdoor Burger, is that where they throw the axes?
Yeah, so it's like above it, the upstairs.
Yeah. I would agree with you on that one. That's a
That's
good
why-
one.
that's
You
why
can
it's
actually
good.
do axe throwing downstairs and go get a burger upstairs.
Yeah, you can do
Okay.
both at the same
yeah,
time.
it's pretty cool.
It's awesome.
Okay, last one, most important of all, your favorite BYU moment. With
My
all your
favorite
experiences.
BYU
Yep.
moment.
Yep.
That's hard. I think so. I worked on this in the summer of 22, and then got it out to everybody and got to wear the first shirt for the Baylor game. And I got to be on the field for that game as well. And that game was insane.
Is that the game where the crowd was nuts and BYU beat Baylor? That
Yes,
one?
that one. That's the
Yeah.
one. And so I was on the field working it, and just, all my efforts coming for this was just awesome to like have a physical, tangible thing of my work. To be on the field with that energy was insane. And then we also got to storm the field afterwards, which was awesome. And that was special.
That's a cool.
That was really magical.
That's a moment that not very many people get to experience.
Yeah.
Even to be on the field in the middle of a game like that, to hear, it's deafening.
It's insane.
It's hard to think.
Like, you can hear how loud it is when you go to the game and you're in the stands and everything, but to be on the field
When it's
and to
all directed
feel
from all
that,
four sides to
it's
you.
insane.
Yeah, it's
insane.
that's a very cool experience. And to have your project and your baby out there being part of that is pretty fun.
Yeah,
That's
so
a great one.
That was a really good day.
That's a
for
great
me.
one.
Hey,
So-
we congratulate you on your business.
Thank you, sir.
Encourage everyone to order their lockers by April 1st at bigshotmerch.com. Inside those lockers will be the reveal of
Color
the uniform
coordinated.
schemes.
You might know before anybody else.
You might
Maybe.
you walk them around the neighborhood and go, hey, I know what we're doing on game 4.
That's
but we appreciate you coming in.
Yeah,
and
thanks,
congrats
Jordan.
on,
Thank you guys.
Great
on what
to
you
Thank you
guys
so much
going
for
on.
having me. And I got a little promo code for
let us have
fans
it.
of the show.
Oh,
just
great.
Wise Guys. Just Y''S space guys.
Promo
So-
code, and that gets you.
So wise guys. So you go. Is it Y''S guys?
Why apostrophe?
Oh, so it's Y''.
Yeah.
Yes, guys.
Guys.
That's a promo code. What can it save them?
Save you $25.
$25.
Right. There you
Nice.
go.
Hey,
Okay.
thanks.
Product. Yeah,
That's awesome.
for sure. Yeah, so thank you guys so much for having me. Big fan of the show, and it's kind of weird hearing you guys talk at normal speed. I usually have you at 1.5.
Oh, you
I
1.5 us?
realize. Yeah.
Wow.
Sorry.
My
respectfully.
mom
We
always
sound
used
like
to say,
munchkins.
since you moved from New York and you're here in Utah, you need to slow down a little bit because she thinks I'm always at 1.5. That's the New Yorker in me, right?
Yeah.
So
That's
Yeah.
cool.
put
He's
me at
great.
1.5 is like listening to somebody at 2.5.
We love when BYU grads make a difference, and we just posted that. The Wise Guys is the promo code, and you're making one, so more power to you.
Yeah, fantastic.
And we
Thanks,
look
Jordan.
forward to
Thanks
having
for
you
being
back
Appreciate you
again.
guys. Yeah, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
You got it.
And the cool part is on this show, it's like so cash. There's no commercials. You just go. You just walk out. Just walk off set and wave on your way out. So,
Goodbye, Mom.
thanks, Jordan. Bye, Mom.
All your
Hey,
friends
shout
are on.
out to Jordan's mom and his
Yeah,
friends.
That's cool.
So-
Awesome. There's some really cool things, and we know that Dave Almodovar and the marketing
Yes.
team are a next level group,
Right.
and this is a product of that next level group. So, Jordan, thank you very much.
Thanks, Jordan.
In our final minutes tonight, let's run down what's going on campus. There's
Yes.
a whole bunch. As Jordan was talking about, there really hasn't been a greater time to be a student athlete on campus. With what's going on over these last couple of years. And let's start with track and field, the indoor Big 12 championships over the weekend. BYU was ranked number 2, the women. They finished second behind Texas Tech. But remember, Ed Eyestone was on the show last week,
Yeah.
and he's going, we're going to adjust who's running at this.
Like, you basically
'cause
said
the
we're-
big one's coming up.
He basically said, it's not a be-all, end-all to go win this.
Yeah.
The be-all, end-all is to get as many kids into the nationals as possible. And so it's be okay. In other words, they're perfectly capable of loading up the team and winning.
Yeah.
But that was not the most important thing. The most important thing was to qualify people for nationals and get as many as athletes as they could in nationals. So
The
keep that in
BYU
mind.
men finished 3rd place. Texas Tech won both first
Right.
places for the men and the women. The individual Big 12 champions, however, Lexi Holiday Lowry in the 5,000 meter and Casey Klinger in the 5,000 meter. Casey's going to be on Sports Nation tomorrow.
Yeah.
We'll talk to him about that. Next week is the National Indoor Championships in Virginia Beach, Virginia. That's the big one.
Yeah, for
And that's
sure.
where BYU's going back to win the national
Yeah.
titles.
And then swim and dive, Big 12 championship results. BYU men finished 5th place, and BYU women finished 7th place. Mackenzie Miller-Lung, Big 12 champion, 200 breaststroke. All Big 12 first team for Mackenzie. Next week, the NCAA Zone E diving championships in Federal Way, Washington, will be happening. And the NCAA Swim and Dive Championships are March 26th to 29th in Federal Way, Washington.
Men's volleyball is 10-4, 2-0 in the MPSF. Number 6 is their national ranking this week. USC's at BYU Friday night at 7 Mountain on BYU TV, and Saturday night at 7 Mountain on Big Ten Network Plus. So the Trojans and Cougars at the field house.
I'll be there sitting in the front row on Friday night.
Crazy that Saturday night you've got volleyball going on an hour before BYU Utah at the
Yeah.
Marriott Center.
Yep.
Great time for to be a student with a rock pass, but tough decision to make.
Yeah, considering I have to be on a show on Saturday night, that's why I'm going Friday night to the volleyball game, right?
Yeah,
So there
that's a
you
good
go.
idea. That's a
So
good plan.
BYU baseball 7-4. They swept 3 games at Gonzaga. We talked about this a little earlier when Eric was on, and scored 40 runs over those 3 games. Incredible. In the series final Saturday, BYU scored 11 runs in the 4th inning. All 9 batters scored in that inning.
Think of the uniqueness of that moment, and I called it on the radio over there in Spokane. And so we watched it unfold. Tuckett Slade and I. Everyone on the roster, 1 through 9, scored in that inning.
How about that?
When does that ever happen?
That never happens at that level, right? So,
Right.
And keep in mind, they've beaten the Zags in 7 straight baseball
beating
games.
the
That's pretty
Zags.
fun. This week, the home opener against Stetson is Wednesday at 3. That's on ESPN Plus. You and Gary Scheide calling it, right?
Yeah, we're taking over the TV side now.
And then BYU Radio, Greg Wrubell will do the radio part. make sure you give Gary that book I gave you.
I got it. I'll give him to him.
Okay, perfect. I appreciate that. I just thought of that. The series resumes Thursday and Friday at 3 and wraps up Saturday at 1. All on ESPN Plus and BYU Radio. You're calling all of those, right?
Yeah, Stetson's pretty good. They got to the NCAA tournament last year. I talked with their coach today. They're bringing some. This is what they do. They're invested in baseball.
Yeah.
They're favored to win the Atlantic Sun. The weather's going to be iffy Wednesday and
This
Thursday,
whole
but
week
then
is
it gets
unsettled,
progressively better. But you know, it was perfect in Spokane.
Mark Brown's asking on the chat, hey, you've been watching these guys. You've been on the road with them. What's the ceiling for this team? Expectations for Big 12. Can they compete?
You know, ask me this next week.
Okay, next week after
'Cause
they
we're
play a
gonna see
really
some
good
good
team
pitching.
against Stetson.
And we'll see. But they're 7-4 in those 11 road games, and they've won. What did you mention? They've won like 7 of the last 9.
Yeah, which is a better start than last year. Let's just say that.
Softball's on fire. They're 14-4. Talked to Gordon Eakin the other day. He's fired up about his troops. They won all 5 games at the Libby Matson tournament in Stockton. Their plane landed just as our plane landed, not at the same time, but right there. So we're on the tarmac and the Provo airport getting off after big successful weekends.
Right.
For softball and baseball. This week, BYU's at Arizona State in the Big 12 opener, Thursday and Friday, 6 Mountain on ESPN Plus, Saturday at 1 Mountain on ESPN Plus. Get serious now.
Yeah.
Now they start playing teams.
And men's tennis off to a good start, 10-2. They split with Denver and Air Force. They beat the Falcons. This week, BYU's at LMU on Friday, and the Big 12 openers March 13th at Oklahoma State.
Women's tennis, 10-5. They're 0-2 in the Big 12. Got swept at Arizona and Arizona State. Those are tennis schools. This week, Colorado's at BYU Thursday. Texas Tech is in Provo on Saturday.
Yeah, and then gymnastics. They're 5-10, 3-3. They defeated Arizona State 196.775 to 196. There was a record score, if I remember right. That's the highest score BYU's ever had, like by a point, which is like topping your basketball production by 30 points.
Yeah.
So a big win over Arizona State. Pretty cool. This week, BYU's at Arizona.
In golf, the men are at the Lamkin Invitational, March 10th and 11th in San Diego. And the women, the Dr. Donis Thompson Invitational, that is March 24th and 25th over in Lahaina, Hawaii.
And that's the one we
That's
told
the one we were
Carrie
supposed to
that
go
we
on.
would help
to announce and
if she could cover
just
us. Yeah.
go to the beach. We haven't heard back from her on that.
Shall we do on the state? We're just going to mention, we'll talk more about spring football next week. We're going to talk a little more.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Spring practice wrapped up today's practice. And the alumni game is March 27th at LaVallerie Stadium at 6 p.m. We'll have a whole week in, and keep in mind, they're practicing 3 times a week. So next Monday night, Dave and I promise to talk a little bit more about spring football. And in my conversation that I had with Jake and with Parker about player run practice, that will still apply next week. That's evergreen. I'll talk to you all about that next week.
Good.
And we'll just move into on this day.
Hey, by the way, Jessica Johnson is back on the stream, has been with the show. She's in Pennsylvania tonight. And she said, that's correct. It was an awesome gymnastics meet. She is the PA voice in the Marriott Center when you go to gymnastics. So that's Jessica, and she knows her stuff.
Yep.
And that was a record-setting night.
Yeah, fun
Fantastic.
stuff. And
on this day.
Thanks. Is it J.L. Halverson says, I bookended his day. Sports Nation this morning and tonight on the show. So
that's a lot of blame.
Thanks for hanging with me all day. I appreciate it. So
that is a lot of blame. All right, on this day, March 3rd, 1791, Congress establishes the U.S. Mint. That's important to all of us.
Yeah, it is. How about 1837? The U.S. recognizes the Republic of Texas.
That's important to Texas.
Yeah, it is too.
1845, Florida becomes the 27th state of the union. So this was a big day for Floridians.
A lot of big things happen in the United States this day. How about in 1947? The U.S. Post Office is authorized to issue postage stamps.
There you go. Then you can start buying them.
Lots of stuff. There's more government stuff coming.
1875, Congress authorizes, I don't know how we went back to 1875, but they authorized the 20-cent coin. A 20-cent coin.
We got rid of it.
It only lasted 3 years.
Yeah, we got rid of that thing. Nobody wants a 20-cent coin.
Must have fought with the dime.
We need to eliminate the penny, for Pete's sake.
Yeah.
So
I think that's the penny's on its way out.
Yeah, penny stores. There's nothing in a penny store for less than 20 cents anymore.
Right.
So, 1920, the Montreal scores an NHL record 16 goals against Quebec.
Wow. How about that defense for Quebec? 1950, the National American Football League reverts to calling itself the NFL after 3 months. So when they merged, they were the National American Football League, and that just wasn't catching on.
It wasn't.
So they go. Some guy goes,
Let's just call
why
it
don't
the
we
NFL.
just go NFL, see if that works?
1951, Bill McPhee of Temple scores an NCAA record 73 points,
including
54 straight to beat Wilkes College 93-69.
How do you score 54 straight in the game?
Straight points.
2024 on this date, Iowa's Caitlin Clark passes Pete Maravich to become the NCAA Division I all-time leading scorer. Pistol Pete's record was 3,667. Caitlin passed him, and then she finished with 3,951.
Yeah. She's amazing. If I'm flicking through and she's playing, I'll stop and watch. She's worth watching, worth the price of admission. 2025
on this day
in
just
2025.
about an hour ago.
Oh, today.
Yeah.
And by the way, I'm pumped about this.
Yeah.
So are you going to MC next year?
It's going to be awesome.
Okay. I'm going to get my best seats I can possibly get because I love this band. But Stadium Fire announced that Rascal Flatts is the main event on Friday, July 4th at LaBellard Stadium. Rascal Flatts.
That's going to be just an amazing night.
So good.
Look forward to seeing all of you there for Rascal Flatts. You know, they were retired. They came out of retirement. They were trying to come a few years ago, but COVID kind of changed everything. Remember the year we didn't even have Stadium of Fire?
Yeah.
But they wanted to come back, and Stadium of Fire folks that we know really well. Jim Evans has been on the show. He'll be on the show again before we get to the 4th of July. But they stuck with them, and so here they come, Rascal Flatts. Do
you have a favorite Rascal Flatts? I think God Bless the Broken Road. They led me straight to you.
They're on the radio all the time.
What hurts the most is
sounds
being
exactly
so
like that.
close. No, that guy's voice is so unique. Unbelievable, their lead singer.
So Rascal Flatts to Stadium of Fire.
Yeah.
March 3rd, birthdays. Born on this day.
Yeah, 1846. Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone. He's pretty important.
We needed him born.
Yeah.
1909, Jay Arena. He invented the child-proof safety cap. So if you struggle with that, blame Jay Arena.
But it's a safety thing.
But
Jay was all about
safety first.
1962, Jackie Joyner Kersey, Olympic gold medalist.
March 3rd, deaths, 1850, Oliver Cowdery, 43 years old.
Yeah.
Key figure in the restoration of the Church of Jesus Christ in the latter days. One of the three witnesses of the gold plates where the Book of Mormon was translated from. Oliver Cowdery died on this day in 1850.
Yeah. In 1959 on this day, Lou Costello, the comedian from Abbott and Costello, on Who's on First? What's on Second?
Classic.
That's what I'm trying to tell you.
If you haven't heard that, go to YouTube and
But wait a minute.
check
Who's
it
on
out.
First? Yeah, that's exactly right. That's what I've been trying to tell
That's
you.
what I've been trying to tell you. On this day in 1995, Howard W. Hunter, prophet and president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, passed away.
And we talked about track and field. Had Ed Eyestone on the show. 2018, Roger Bannister, the English runner who was the first runner to run a sub 4-minute mile.
How about that?
And then
Who thought
everybody-
it was going to be a British guy?
Everybody said it was impossible. And then when he did it, then everybody did it. Yeah, it's wild.
On this day in 2024, Chris Mortensen, the longtime NFL reporter on ESPN,
Morton,
passed
yeah.
away. The Wise Guy's inspirational quote of the week is from President Howard W. Hunter, who said,
If our lives and our faith are centered on Jesus Christ and his restored gospel, nothing can ever go permanently wrong. On the other hand, if our lives are not centered on the Savior and his teachings, no other success can ever be permanently right.
Isn't that true?
Yeah.
President Hunter. We thank Eric Mika and Jordan Sitterud of Big Shot Merch. It was a great show. Eric's got us ready for tip-off for tomorrow night.
And I think the hat over the headset look was a good look.
It was a look. It was a look.
Nobody ever gave me the name of that little dude on the Jetsons that had the big gigantic head. But
Yeah,
anyhow,
I don't
I'll have to look it up
remember that
myself
guy.
later. So
Next week, Greg Wrubell and Mark Durant, they're going to sit here with us, and we'll break down the Big 12 tournament. We'll have the pairings, the seedings, the path to the big dance, and we thought, who
there
better?
he is. That's the great Gazoo. It's the Great Gazoo. Did I not look like the Great Gazoo with that hat on?
You look like a gazoo.
And by the way, the Great Gazoo is very, very smart, just in case you forgot. But thanks for that. Thanks, DJ, for finding that.
Here's where you can find us this week. And you saw Blaine this morning on Sports Nation. The BYU Utah pre- and post-game show Saturday night, pre at 8 p.m. Mountain. 7 p.m. Mountain on BYU TV and ESPN Plus, and then we'll stick around and do the
Right, for
post-game
you and I
show.
are together on that show, right?
I got a week ahead.
Yeah, you've got Sports Nation the rest of the week, right?
Yeah, except for Thursday, and then I've got baseball Wednesday through Saturday. and then I'll do
we'll be
the
together
pre and
on-
post game show, and then in the Deseret News. So this is like super week.
Yep, this is big week for Dave. So just keep following him and doing, reading all his stuff. So
Thanks for joining us on the stream, and if you're listening to the podcast, we hope you enjoy it. Remember to like us over there on our YouTube page, and we'll continue to build our empire.
yep, and let's remember that Wise Guys is presented by Brady Plus and distributed by the Deseret News.
See you next week.
See you next week.